everyone. Thanks for joining.
Hey everyone.
I'm Martin, this is Lukas.
And
And today we're having the topic of the perfect guitar set.
quote unquote the perfect guitar setup. I think the topic came to mind when I played my, where is it? Back there. My Strat. And due to the summer and the relatively high humidity down here in the basement, the setup was completely off. It was buzzing like crazy. And I had to adjust a few things. And I talked to Martin about having the ideal setup and our preferences, and then we thought, hey, that's maybe a interesting topic for a live hang, just to have a topic to talk about and not just ramble as usual.
We're gonna digress anyway, so yeah,
It's part of the hang.
yeah, we're making it less style.
The topic is a basic idea, but we talk about whatever comes to our mind.
Yeah.
And now we will have our tools ready. We also want you to get something from it, and not just the entertainment, but also maybe learn a little bit something, and get some
Maybe
tips.
we get some tips from you.
Absolutely. If you have any insights and ideas, share them in the chat. And we will look at different guitars. We have a Telly. Martin just can't put it down, the Lava Telly.
Yeah.
Official new nickname now.
Yeah.
The Lava Telly.
Just named it maybe last week.
Yeah, on the live hang you on Sunday. I think you called it like that.
Yeah.
And now it sticks.
It sticks,
A Strat with a floating trem, which is completely different to setup than a fixed bridge Telly, and the Les Paul, which just represents all stop tail and tunematic style bridges, and an acoustic as well. I have the Takamine back there. So
We might have some guests dropping in,
Absolutely.
maybe later on.
We hope he can make it,
Yeah.
but it's not sure yet. But we will see. So just stay tuned. Maybe he will hop in.
Yeah.
Originally, we had Krenna on, but he's at home at the moment in
Home in Macedonia.
Macedonia. And yeah, something came up and he had to cancel, unfortunately. But yeah, we will see if our other guest, which is would be a pleasure to have on, can make it. And yeah. Let's quickly look at the chats.
Do a roll call. Charles was the first one
Our
in.
friend Charles was first. Hi,
Thanks for joining
buddy.
us.
On a break from class, still have another hour. Okay. Yeah. If we're going overtime and you have time after that hour you mentioned, the link is in the Skype group. You can always hop in, buddy. And hi, Janice.
Hi,
Also
Janice.
saying hi to the group.
And William De Silva,
Hi, William.
maker of the, probably greatest picks in the world. The glass picks.
Glass pick manufacturing.
Yeah.
And Charles saying hi to William and Janice. All right. When it comes to setup, as I said in the beginning, it's quote unquote perfect, because I think to a pretty big extent it's personal preference.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Definitely. One thing that sticks out to me is when I look at, especially also guitar teachers, more famous, guitar players on YouTube, when they're playing Strats, especially those
Let me grab the strap.
those Strats buzz a lot to me.
Yeah, the strings buzz against the frets, which
And it doesn't seem to bother them too much because they want a low action, probably. But to me, I can't do it. It's just not. Yeah, I'm playing often at home quiet when I'm practicing.
so you're hearing the guitar
I'm
acoustically.
hearing the guitar acoustically as well, and with that one, I just can't bear the sound of much buzzing. Yeah, even though
There's a little bit of string bass on this one.
Yeah, I also
If
have.
I pick hard.
I also have it on this tele, for example. I really start to play softer with this one because
You have
if
tens on this.
it's tens, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you can hear this. It's like this, you don't hear anything. But if I go, for example, if I
a little bit rattling. Yeah.
if I dig in really
Yeah.
hard, you hear it. This is just about what is within tolerance for me. Let's call it like this. Through the amp, you don't hear it when I'm playing it through the JTM, for example. You don't hear anything, even when I'm digging in.
I think that's the most important point you raised there.
Yeah.
When it's just acoustically buzzing, but it's not going through the amp, it's okay.
Yeah.
But for me, goes the same like for you. I don't really enjoy it when it's buzzing too much or on every spot, and no matter how hard you dig in.
Yeah.
I don't like that also. So in that case, I tend to raise the action slightly. So I don't need 1.25 millimeters. I'm happy with 1.5 or 1.6 if I can avoid some of the rattling.
See,
personally.
there is the next thing. I'm not really comfortable with too low action, even if it's not rattling. I think this comes from my first guitar already. This one had a really low action, and it was not buzzing. It
What
was
kind of
the
guitar was that again?
Epiphone Les Paul Custom Pro,
The
white one, yeah.
Okay.
exactly. And it really had a low action, and I had to raise it because when I was doing bands, I was not able to shift the next string with my finger. So what happened was when I made the bend, the next string also went underneath my finger.
Okay.
The vibration of the string that I'm bending was going over to the next string, and I heard the other string as well vibrating.
So it
So I
really
had-
affected your playability or
Absolutely.
the playability of the guitar for you.
Absolutely. I would always, back then I was still playing with the fingers, I would always start to mute it with my thumb and would,
Okay.
like this, and yeah, it was not really comfortable altogether playing it like this. Yeah, maybe a technique thing where I'm just not skilled enough, but especially back then I was certainly not skilled enough.
Do you remember how low the action was?
I
Did you
thi-
measure?
I think it was just a little bit above a millimeter on the high E string.
Really low.
So, yeah, really low. So 1.1, yeah,
What's that?
definitely below 1.25.
So if I have the music Nomad string action gauge here, and it's also an inch, so that's 0.04 inch. 1 millimeter is 0.04,
Okay.
and 1.25 millimeters is 0.05
Okay.
inch. Okay, for the Americans. Quickly glance
Yeah.
at the chat. Hey Zach,
Hey Zach, thanks for joining.
Mark's gas station also.
Mark's gas
Hi, Mark.
station. Hi Mark.
And Johnny Bean. Hey Johnny.
Hey Johnny.
Very cool. Yeah. So
Too low is also not really for me. I haven't.
So your aim is not to have it as low as possible.
No.
So what's your sweet spot? And do you have a different sweet spot for the Fender style guitars or the Gibsons? Is there a difference for you?
I found my sweet spot to always be the same,
Which is
which is
1.5 on the high.
1.25 to 1.5 on the high E.
But that's relatively low, I would say, isn't it? It's not like super shreddy low, but
Yeah, I don't
Relatively
don't
low.
need extremely high action either. So
there's like most common or reference on low. It says 1. Oh, okay, low medium.
yeah,
1.25 and medium is 1.4, medium high is 1.5 on an electric. So 1.5 is, let's say, medium. Your
Yeah.
preference is about medium. Okay.
yeah. So
But this is
somewhere
really low.
between low and medium,
Mm-hmm.
something like this. And on the high one, not on the high, on the low E string. So that one for me is at about 1.75 to 2 millimeters.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer it more to the side of 1.75, 1.8.
Ryan Hall also joined the chat.
Hey Ryan,
hey buddy.
Thanks for joining.
Friends and family music in-laws.
I love that term.
Yeah, it's great. I think I don't really have a standard setup. Let me quickly measure on this one. It's about 2 millimeters on the low E and 1.75 on the high E, which is not that low, but it's nines and it's still easily playable. And I had to actually raise it and adjust the truss rod recently because it was just like buzzing everywhere. So
Yeah.
for me, it's more important. I mean, it's not crazy high, but technically it could be lower, but it would be buzzing more. So I don't enjoy that. So I prefer to get it to a point where it's not that much buzzing.
See, that's the next thing. I prefer the action to be lower, and at that sweet spot for me, all the time. And for that, I'm also taking into account that I might have to use heavier string gauge, because that one does not buzz this much. When you lower the action. Right?
I also thought about that's a good point with string gauge. I have nines on this, and that's maybe also the reason, because it's like rotating more with thinner strings. So it's just physically rotating or vibrating in bigger circles, movements.
Yep.
So you have either buzz or slightly higher action. With tens, it would probably be able to get the action down to 1.5 on the high E.
Most certainly.
Yeah, and not get any buzzing. And I'm not sure how much I had to change. I had to adjust the truss rod, did I?
Yeah, you had.
Just not that much, but just some small turns because the neck slightly shifted. It's just down in the basement in winter it's a little bit drier, and in summer now the humidity is just relatively high. It's about 55% ish, and so some necks move more than others. I realized, and I didn't play this for some time, and then it was like, wow, the setup is horrible. And it really bummed me out because I didn't enjoy playing it. But it's relatively easy to adjust this. So, as we already mentioned, truss rod adjustment, I have this extra long one. There is one that comes with the guitar. It's just... no, that's not even the one that's fitting. Oh no, I think that's for the Mexican ones.
Okay.
That's the metric one. So, maybe I use this one. The trusty Ibanez multi-tool. I think I use this one or the official Allen key that comes with the guitar. I think this one fits in. This one should be the right one. So yeah, tighten or loosen it depending on if you need more or less relief. And then down here, I really need a small one. That's the one that came with the guitar, to just adjust the saddles. And that's about it. That's what I had to do to adjust it to the current conditions in the basement to get this one working. And this one also has a floating trem. Let's put it this way. Don't want to smack you in the head. Yeah, click. Can you see it? No, this way it works. Slightly floating. I also thought about decking it, which would require to open the back cover up and screw it, or drill the, how do you call it, screw the screws in into the body.
You would just stiffen the claw.
Exactly, just to put it in and then it's pushed down. But I don't really want to do it on this Strat. I have it decked on the road one, and I just like that I can go both ways.
I never fully deck it.
No, okay.
I never fully deck it. It's almost decked, but never fully.
Yeah.
Because the reason is, once you use it, you will get most of the times a little bit out of tune, which you can counter if you go a little bit in the other direction.
Mm-hmm. But probably less than this.
Yeah, definitely less than this. It's just a hair that I can pull it up and correct it. We have a few new people joining us. So
let me see. Dennis Ellis. Hey, Dennis.
Thanks a lot for joining.
Doing great, thanks. Hope you're doing great as well.
Same here.
Rody, hi man.
Hey Rody.
Ferd Burfel also in the chat.
Hi Ferd. Hi there.
And yeah, those were the new joiners. Cool. What's also part of the pickup, the spoiler, what's also part of the setup is the pickup height for me. But I didn't have to adjust it on this guitar, but in some situations, if the pickup is too trebly or something, or some frequencies don't come through enough, it's just this screw, you can adjust the height. If you want more treble, you can just increase the height here, or reduce the height. That's also a preference thing.
Yeah, but that's not something I ever measure.
No, it's just feel. Yeah, usually.
Yeah, listening especially.
Listening, yeah. If it sounds good, it is good. Like, who says that? Right. Phil McKnight, I think. No, Justin Guitar said that. If it sounds good, it is good. I think that's a good tip because that's most important. There is also, you can pick up height down here, but yeah, sound wise, if it sounds good, that's basically all you need. So yeah, but did you play this after I set it up?
Yeah.
And it's compared to the videos you mentioned of some guitar teachers, is it buzzing less?
Way less. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Marty's Surf Green Strat, for example. Marty Music. If you go and listen closely, this guitar is buzzing a lot. Really. I wouldn't be... Yeah, it would drive me crazy.
I mean, it's crazy that you hear it through even the video, because playing that guitar, sitting right next to it, it must be insanely loud. Don't you think? Or do you think the mic is sensitive and picking it up?
Maybe, probably the mic is really sensitive and picking it up as well, but on the other hand, yeah, you probably notice in the room if the mic can pick it up.
Mm. So
probably it's the mic that he's having somewhere on lavalier mic that he's having somewhere that's picking it up. But
I mean, if it's not going through the amp, if you're recording or playing a gig, it's still bearable. But yeah, not for me, not for you either.
No, for that I'm playing too often on
low
bedroom
volumes.
Volume. Yeah. And not even bedroom volume. It's just not that loud actually.
Especially if you use this 335 as a semi-hollow, you don't really need an amplifier.
Yeah.
So the volume is loud enough. Also, maple neck, not roasted. I had a little bit of fret sprout, and I had to address that as well because I love the neck of this guitar. I think it's just perfect for me the way I like it, but I don't like fret sprout. I mean, who doesn't? Who does? And so this.
Yeah, I think the fret ends are one of the most crucial parts for me.
That's also like setup. It's just
to me,
it has to feel right when you play.
To me, this is a setup thing, and because in the end, I can't even say really that it is a quality control thing.
No, this guitar is not new. I had it for a couple of years, or in general.
In general, if you go and look at the guitar in a store, there will most likely be some thread sprouts. If it's somewhere imported, it has been maybe on a ship for who knows how many weeks, yeah, maybe even months.
Yeah.
Somewhere outside in a container in the sun or whatever. So yeah, these things can happen. That's not something I would say is a quality control issue, unless yeah, you're having some importer that is doing some extra quality control, right? For example, yeah, PRS is doing this in the US with theirs. So
with the SE models.
With the SE models that come into the US, so they're checking them once more, and yeah, from there on, I would expect them to have a look at the thread ends, right?
But the two SEs I have immaculate thread ends. Never had to file or anything. I'm not sure if maple is more prone to thread sprout a little bit than a mahogany neck.
I don't think so, because mahogany is usually the softer.
And softer means it's moving.
It's moving more. Yeah, I would say
Okay.
it's more prone. The pores are there's less density in there, so I would guess that it takes in more humidity.
Okay. Yeah, I know what you mean.
But I'm no expert on this. Does anyone in the chat know this?
Yeah, did you notice that on... Oh, chat's not working.
Nice. Mine is still working.
Okay.
Over here.
Did you notice that on guitars with maple necks and maple fretboards, this is even a one-piece maple neck, that there's more fret sprout, or is that just about the same, no matter what the fretboard or neck material is?
And also, do you have some specific action that you prefer, or is it from guitar to guitar that you're adjusting it? Yeah, on one 1.5 millimeter, on the next one I have 1.8, or do you have like me, who's looking to have always the same action regardless of radius? And
yeah, the radius is another point. With on the road worn, I also have 9s. On the road worn stretch, it has 7.25 inch, so the action there is about the highest of all my guitars, because I wasn't able to bend on the high E string, so I had to raise the action. Maybe fret leveling would also help, and more time or labor intensive work, but I got it to work and it still plays nicely, so that's not the biggest issue there. And I really don't have a regular setup. On the Stramberg, for example, the action is insanely low, but it's the radius is 20 inch, and it has a 0 fret. I think it's 1 millimeter on the high E string. It's like extremely low.
That's to the point where I'm having problems bending them.
It's interesting to play, and but usually I would say the high E for me is around 1.5 to 1.75, and that's all okay for me. Comfort zone. I don't need it much lower.
You're welcome, Rody. He says he's still using the string stretcher he got from us.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I also have it here.
Yeah, that one is
always
in use
for string change.
Yeah,
but that's not really like setup string changing. I mean,
it's maintenance.
It's maintenance. It can fall together.
Yeah, if you change the string gauge, you will most likely have to do some setup work as well, because you will have to adjust the intonation. If you're having a floating trem also, the tension is changing, so the bridge will shift.
This is classical style. Let's quickly demonstrate how you can adjust the intonation on the telly. You need a screwdriver for the back screws.
Just on the back there are the 3 screws.
Flathead,
and
And this is
On this one
compensated?
flathead, this one is not
This
compensated,
is not compensated.
unfortunately.
So
I have
vintage
intonation.
style.
Yeah, I have intonation issues with that one.
Okay.
Not bad, but it's not perfect. Good enough for rock and roll, right?
Third Berthel, I've been using the Dave's World of Fun Stuff method for guitar setups, working for me with a Fender or Gibson or whatever. That's cool. Are you familiar with the Dave's World of Fun Stuff?
I'm familiar with the channel, but I'm not
their setup.
No, I'm not familiar with the setup method he's using.
Well, maybe that's something to look up afterwards.
Right.
Cool. Okay, yeah, intonation.
Yeah.
And you have also flathead screws here for the action on the telly.
On the top. Yeah.
These screws here.
All the chatsters will know because those guys are veterans, right?
True. And apart from that, the neck on this one is also like the modern style on the end of the headstock and not vintage style.
Where you have to remove the neck to adjust the truss rod.
I think I only have that on the Road Worn.
I have the Baja.
I forgot. I never adjusted it on the Baja.
Well, that's such a baseball neck there.
It's not moving.
That's not moving.
It's a
That's not going anywhere.
A huge chunk of wood, so it's not going anywhere. I don't think I ever had to do a setup on the Baja. But I'm not playing it too often. The train system for setups.
Tune, relief, action, intonation, noodle. Yeah.
That's cool. Relief. Relief. Do you also measure with first fret pressing down and where the neck meets the body, and then you check for the relief at the 5th fret or 7th?
Yes,
in between
in
somewhere.
between wherever the middle of this is.
Do you measure it, or just go? You would probably need something like a feeler gauge, or just go by feel and you see if it's a big gap.
I really go by feel because I'm going
7th. Yeah, first says. Okay. Yeah. Usually it's the 7th, right?
Yeah. Whatever is in the middle. The thing is, I'm checking on several frets actually. I'm going through several ones because this is also for me like checking if I'm having a high fret as well.
Okay.
And I have it so close you cannot really see.
So there's just a slight gap. A tiny bit of relief.
You don't really see a gap on the 7th, but
it goes down. Or
you can see it go down and you can hear it if you tap it.
But I think that's all you need.
Yeah.
You don't need more. And if it is more and looks like it's too much, you should just try adjusting the truss rod.
Interestingly enough, I think I've heard it from Ryan OU812, how he's adjusting it. Or was it? Who was it? At least at his show. The way Eddie Van Halen set up his guitar, he made a back bow on the guitar
on purpose.
Leveled it then, and then put the relief back in it. So he has the relief pretty much on the frets itself. Okay. The neck itself is totally straight.
Okay, but the frets are like this.
But the frets have this.
Because with the bow before.
Yeah, he took away more in the middle, and then you have the relief through the frets.
I didn't know that. That's interesting. Sorry.
So.
We don't need the cable.
Yeah,
the amp's not on. That's an interesting method.
I'm not
really sure if it's good for the frets this way.
You will probably with wear go through the frets quicker, I would guess.
And he probably did. Most likely.
Yeah. But yeah, he also had enough guitars, I guess. So it doesn't really matter.
No, if you're like the guitar hero, it's...
Yeah, and what's a refret for if you have enough money?
Give it to the tech and take another one.
So yeah, it's not something I would attempt, even though I'm sure it's getting a good result like this, because yeah, it takes away quite a few things to consider when you get the neck totally straight, adjusting the relief with the truss rod, everything. It's probably easier and more consistent that way.
Yeah.
To get a good setup.
True. I think without knowing, I did it also like the train system.
Yeah.
Because it's just the order just makes sense.
Yeah.
When the guitar is in tune, you check the relief and you adjust that. There's probably another tuning in between. You can also add more T's.
Because you need the tension to know how much relief you actually got, because the relief when you have no tension is obviously different.
Then tune it up, use something to measure with the multi-tool, not sponsored by the way. You can use this little ruler to measure, it's in millimeters, or like I said, I like this because it also has a great contrast with the white.
The black and white, yeah.
Maybe I get it in focus like this.
Focus.
It actually works. That's inch. That's millimeters. And you can see there are rulers for everything. And with this tool, you can also high frets. Check for high frets.
The rocking, a fret rock.
Because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different length. You can use it as a fret rocker as well. So this tool is I bought you one as well. And so I love this. And I always need it for just to check the action and see if I have to adjust it. Usually I don't just take a guitar, measure and adjust the action. I play, and if I feel it's a little bit high, I measure like a back test to confirm if it is high, if I'm correct with with the impression I have, and then I adjust it.
The interesting thing is I don't measure the action at all.
You just adjust it.
I just adjust it because
I always measure.
I adjust it by feel, and if it's too high and if I get lower where I feel comfortable and it starts buzzing, I'm going with the higher gauge string.
Okay.
For example, the Road one.
But that's more work, because then you have the truss rod again and intonation again.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more time consuming if you adjust the string gauge, I would say.
Right. But once I have this, I know I can go this low and can get into the range that I like.
But that's probably the reason why your action is on average a bit lower, because you have 11s where I have 10s.
Yeah.
In many cases.
Even though I'm switching to 10s now as well. So.
No more 11s.
Not no more. For example, the Road One Strat has 11s on it, but it's tuned a half step down.
So it feels like 10s then?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah, there's that. But again, I get to the action that I'm used to with this.
Brent made it.
Hey Brent, thanks for joining.
And third added to Dave, he's a bit of an old come and get him, but he knows his stuff on guitar, and Rody agrees. He knows his stuff, but goes a bit overboard sometimes. You're really making me curious. I need to check this Dave out. Dave's fun world of fun stuff. Okay, sounds like an interesting guy for sure. My music in-law brother. The YouTube family.
Yeah, with the action, it is for me. I just automatically get in this range from 1.5 millimeter, 1.25 to 1.5 on the high end, 1.8 to maybe to 1 or something.
But for you, it's like a natural result of playing, adjusting, and you're not measuring like I need 1.5, otherwise it's crap.
No, it's just absolutely not.
Feels good, doesn't pass, that's good. And if you measure, happens to be 1.5.
It happens to be,
happens to be 1.3, whatever.
I've noticed that it's fairly consistent throughout all my guitars. Yeah,
That's cool. I wouldn't know on all the guitars. I just know that on the Strandberg it's extremely low, and on the Fender guitars with 9s it's a bit higher. My Strats, and on the Tele, I think the Deluxe back there is also quite low. Been doing setup videos on YouTube for 10 years. 10 or 12 years. Wow, okay.
yeah, he's one of the old channels.
Rody sums it up. Setup boils down to personal preference. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So what might be Martin's perfect setup might be horrible for someone else who just loves a high action. We have a buddy.
Low action.
We have a buddy, Benny.
Yeah.
And his guitars, both of us, I hope he's not watching. Probably not. If he's watching, you need to hear this, Benny. The action, for our taste, it was horrible because it was like the high E was 2.5 millimeters.
Yeah.
Something like that on this Mexican Strat. And I mean, you could play on it, but it wasn't nice.
It's a challenge.
If you want a challenge.
It's a challenge for anyone who's not used to it.
Yeah, definitely no bass at all. Ringing like crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you have to push that hard. Maybe you even push the notes out of tune again because it's the distance. There might be a point of action where it's actually too high, so the distance is that big that it's not perfectly in tune anymore.
Yeah.
So you can definitely have a too high action, but I mean, if it's 1.25 or 1.75, that's probably just preference on electric guitar, I'd say.
I mean, the guitar isn't that accurate anyway.
In terms of intonation and notes, it's flawed in this regard. You're right. Blackjack Guitar. Hey, thanks for joining.
Hey there.
Saying hi to Luke and Martin. Who's that Luke? But you said that it's my new nickname, Luke.
Luke Skywalker.
Never heard that. Can you imagine? And Matt Stewart also in the chat. Hey, Matt.
Hey there. Hey, Matt.
Very cool. Do you think that... Okay, I can remember my point. What did you want to say?
Back to action. There is actually one time that I've raised my action a lot on a Strat.
On a Strat?
Yeah.
Your Strat?
Yes, on the Classic Vibe.
Slide?
No.
Not open tuning and slide?
No, not open tuning and slide. I played something where I really didn't want any bass at all. So not, and I was
recording.
Really, and I was digging in a lot on that one, and really wanted to dig in into the strings.
With 10s on? Can you remember?
I think those were 10s, 10s. And for that one, to really never have this bassing, or not even a hint of bassing in any shape or form, I've raised the action a lot.
Okay.
So really, I think I went 0.5 millimeter above what I'm usually playing, and where I'm not hearing any bass usually, but it was really, I was digging in for one recording. You may have heard it on the channel. It's the one where we are using also on some shorts.
Ah, okay.
So, what was it?
And
just
the way the guitar was set up, you heard the buzzing through the recording.
I heard it through the recording on some unclean, maybe it, again, technique, on some not so well pressed chords. I heard some slight buzzing at times when it was not that clean, and to compensate for that one, I've raised the action.
But it makes it harder to fret a chord usually.
Yeah, but it was just,
It's
worked
still
better
an
for
electric guitar.
Yeah, it's still electric guitar, and For the bar chord, I was cleaner on that one.
Higher action for slide setups. I think you have to, right? Do you have an electric guitar setup for slide at the moment?
No, I
Not
haven't.
anymore.
And when I'm playing slide on the electric guitar, I'm also not going for open tuning. I'm using the standard.
Action?
The action, I don't change the action on that one.
Okay,
I just
that's interesting. Because on the resonator, it's quite
on
high.
the resonator, it's definitely higher. It's not crazy high either for a slide guitar.
Okay.
But it also helps that I'm usually having.
Your riff sounds like a Leon Redbone song.
Okay.
Okay. Copyright. No.
Haven't had a copyright strike, so it isn't.
True.
Not at least not close enough.
Yeah. So on the resonator,
it's a little higher, but
not that.
when I'm playing a little bit slide, I'm not playing much slide on the electric guitar, to be honest.
I mean, you have a great resonator for that. So.
On the 335, I've also played slide as well, a little bit, and I'm not changing the action for that. Again, there comes in handy that I'm playing with higher gauge strings.
Yeah.
So
you don't need to.
If I would play with nines, obviously I would have to raise it because. Yeah, not sure if I would have to raise it. It's again technique thing.
If you're precise.
If you're extremely precise, you could probably also do it with nines.
Get away with nines and low action.
It's definitely easier if you're using higher gauge strings.
Blackjack was asking how the weather is.
Better. Better again.
Better
today.
But the last week or two.
Yeah,
it was
week.
It was colder than on average, which is insane because in the southern parts of Europe it's crazy hot, and it has been crazy hot for a couple of weeks. And we had 25, 26 degrees today,
Celsius.
So it's a bit too cold, and it was a bit rainy the last few days. But
it was raining quite a bit in the last 3-4 days. I don't mind.
It was nice on the weekend, but yeah, I sleep much better when it's not too hot. So
definitely,
I don't mind either.
So yeah, and I'm living in a concrete block,
which is hot when it's hot.
Yeah, which once it's charged with, it is really staying warm, and now it was able to cool it back down. So. A lot better.
I hope it stays like this for. I mean, I don't need 30 degrees and more here in Austria. It's just not too pleasant because it's very humid as well. So, Zach saying to Rody, likes watching set up by Marshall. Welcome to the bench.
Yeah.
So he knows his stuff.
Marshall knows what he's doing as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Rody says Marshall is fun to watch, and higher action for slide. We had that 98 degrees. Yeah, in Texas it's crazy hot. I think Charles said it's 3 digits or was 3 digits, which is like 40 degrees Celsius. Texas is also very hot, like southern Italy and Greece in Europe. Temperature-wise, so yeah.
Croatia.
Oh yeah, work colleague of mine is going to Croatia next week.
That will be fun time.
Hey Bo.
Hey Bo, thanks for joining.
Live, of course. You're not that late. We're only on 45 minutes, and we usually go 2 hours.
Yeah.
Because we only have one live hang a month, so all good. It's been 3 triple digits every day for the past. In that case, it definitely makes sense to have AC, which it's not that common, especially it's in Austria. In other parts in Southern Europe, you need AC as well.
Yeah. I want to ask Bo a few questions because he has all the guitars.
Yeah, more than 45, I heard.
So, are you doing the setups on them all yourself? And do you have some, like guideline for them to say, well, I want my Les Pauls to have an action of 1.5 millimeters too, or something like this. So, yeah.
We wait.
We wait.
No, I'm just pouring in the whiskey because it's just to remind you, it's almost 10 in the evening for us, so way past dinner time. Perfect time for a nice whiskey.
Yeah, if he has different preferences for different guitars.
Preferences for guitars. I think the radius of the fretwork definitely makes a difference. Let me grab my Les Paul and let me measure the action. Inch. Can't work with inch. Slightly below 2 and 1.4, 1.5-ish.
So, pretty much what
for you, Martin.
For me.
This one's for you.
This one's for me.
In terms of adjustment, truss rod up here as well. You just have to remove this. How do you call that? Cover? Truss rod cover.
Truss rod cover. Yeah.
Truss rod cover. And with the Tune-o-matic, you can the height, you can adjust it. I saw a video of Tim Pierce just doing it with the hand. On a video with Music is Win with Tyler.
Yeah.
They were shopping for a guitar, and he says he wants light strings. I'm not sure if he's playing 8 or 9s, probably 8.
Yeah, I think
And,
he switched
the
to
lowest
8s even.
action possible, so it's just no effort at all. And so he just used the guitar and on the Tune-o-matic.
I can't lift it, definitely. I can drop it, obviously, but not...
he dropped it as well, so he just adjusted it on the fly with this screw here.
Yeah, sure. Dropping is no issue, but
he just
raising
wanted
it...
to drop it.
Yeah, raising it is another thing.
And that's the only way, I mean, treble side and bass side, you can adjust both sides, and back here is for the intonation. But you have, on the Strat, it's more flexible with 6 individual saddles.
Yeah.
So this is, the Tune-o-matic style is a bit limiting in this regard.
But you don't really need it, because you have your radius, the Tune-o-matic bridge is with that 12-inch radius in mind, and like this...
It's not really an issue. So
it's not a necessity.
No, it's not. And the top tail, some use it or even wrap it around.
Yeah.
To change the string angle. That's, I mean, if you have it like with the stop tail, that's also like a setup thing. If you want to change the angle, you would just, it would come around.
Rody
on top
says
here.
he has also a Wine Red Studio. He plays it the most.
Cool. Yeah, Wine Red 17. I always forget. 17. I didn't get it in 17. I got it because the clearance. It was kind of clearance, or the overstock. They wanted to, or the German store, music store. They were just selling a bunch of Gibsons, and I got this for less than €900, brand new. But it was like in a few years after 2017, so it was not the latest model. But it's a great guitar. You also like this one.
Yep.
Not just because it's red. And you clearly have a preference for red guitars. I'm not sure. Do you like this more than the SG?
No, the SG.
The SG. Because
if I would...
at one point in time you said this is one of my nicest playing guitars for you.
Yeah, because it's just what the setup.
And familiar.
Yeah.
No fret sprout at all. Never filed anything here. And this one doesn't have the bindings or the thread nips and stuff. But
yeah, spoiler alert with the SG. Once we're doing a body review, this
Soon.
if I could pick one of your guitars, it would be the SG.
okay, for 1,500 it's yours. No, it's not. I'm not selling. I know what you're saving money for, so.
Yeah.
And if you want to play an SG, you know where mine is. So. 2015, cool. They changed mid-year. So you don't have the RoboTuners then, Rody? Because this is the T model, the traditional. With there was the modern as well. I don't know what the difference is. Probably the tuners. But I definitely didn't want the RoboTuners.
I didn't have them on my 2015 Studio 335 either.
Did you have
So-
335s with RoboTuners as well? No
I'm
RoboTuners.
not
Okay,
sure,
Cool.
but that one definitely didn't have it.
This crazy long. I think the last time I needed this was for the Martin Dreadnought Junior.
Yeah.
Because the adjustment is. Let's just grab the Takamine. It's not the Martin, but that one is upstairs. For acoustics, the truss rod adjustment is usually here, and for the Martin, it's like up here.
All the way in there.
It's all the way in. At some point, it's my first Martin, and I never adjusted yours because why should I? You're anyways better at setting up. So I was inserting this Allen key, and I was like, "Is there no truss rod?" And then I looked online, and they said, yeah, there is, but it's really deep in. So, okay, then I need to get different tools and all the way in. And then I didn't have any leverage because it's just a small size. Then I use this with this part to get enough leverage to actually turn it. Because that's the only thing I had to adjust on the Dreadnought Junior. The action was a tad too high for me, and I mean it's not just to adjust the action on the acoustic, but also the relief was too big, and so just adjusted the truss rod to get it down, to get the relief better, and the action also came down. But usually, if you want to reduce the action on an acoustic, you need to file the bridge.
Yeah.
There's really no other way to reduce or to get the action lower if the straightness and relief are set up the correct way.
Yeah. That's something I haven't attempted yet.
I know that Adi did it when he installed the LR bags on yours.
Yeah.
Because the action is now like on an electric.
Yeah, it's now almost the same as on my electric guitars.
And he did it on the Larivier as well. It really has a low action. And I noticed that both of them are slightly buzzing.
Mine isn't.
Yeah, a little bit, I think. When we did it on the last live stream, I think I heard a little bit of buzzing on some points.
That might be my sloppy playing.
Might always be a reason for buzzing.
It's always a reason.
It's on the Larivier, it's noticeable on the B string when I'm using a thicker pick and I'm like for solo playing on chords. It's not that noticeable, but with the lower action, it's a little bit of buzzing. I can grab it and demonstrate it quickly. But it depends a bit on which pick I use. Not sure if you can hear it. Let's use this one. Can you hear it?
Yeah. See,
but it's not really.
Why I'm probably not noticing it is because I'm usually playing with the fingers.
with this pick, it's a thicker one. It's but it's the notes are not dying, so it's not a problem for me. And if it's plugged in, you don't hear it, or not really. And if there's a cajon or another player and a singer, so it's no problem. And I can't really change it anyways. I would need a new saddle. And
that's the thing, that
it's not bothering me.
That kept me from doing it myself, because I would.
If you screw it up,
you have to buy a new one, and if the shop screws it up, it's his problem.
You can say, do it again.
Do it again.
I mean, I really enjoy the way it plays since it's been set up. It's so easy to play. I can play stuff on the Larivé. I can't really play on the Martin because the action is higher and I have to press down harder. And with the usually thicker strings on the acoustic, I mean, I can play the bar chords higher up on the Martin as well, but only a few times. And then I get a fatigue in the hand.
Okay.
And with the Larivé, I don't, because the action is down. It's just when I'm soloing on the B string and I'm digging in a little bit too hard with thicker picks that it's like slightly buzzing, but it wouldn't justify a new bridge for me. And I think I noticed that on yours as well, but maybe it's also my playing, because I tried the same thing I do on the Larivé, where I noticed the buzzing, and then I noticed noticed it on the Martin as well. So yeah, if setup wise, if you're digging in like crazy and you don't like buzzing, you definitely need a higher action.
Yeah.
And if you're playing with a very light and soft touch, you can go really low. I'm not sure if like this crazy shredders that play really fast and have really low action, if they just have a very light touch. They need to.
Because if you're having a light touch, you also get faster from the string.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're digging in, you're getting more stuck in the string, and it's harder to get away. So
technique again.
Technique. It's all about technique.
And then you don't get buzzing.
So what we learned today: practice, practice, practice.
True. And set up second. Playing first. Set up second. So Bo answered.
Yeah.
Monster Electric has a height of point. Okay, I need to get to the translator.
Or 1.5 millimeter. He's European friendly for us.
Nice. True.
At the 12th fret.
That's not too bad.
Just like what I'm usually going for.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Guitars are sent out. I do not have time or have room. I always keep 55 to 62 humidity. Yeah, I usually keep or aim for a humidity level of 50-ish, 50, 52. Yeah. At the moment, it's right up there. It's 58. But we've been in here for 3 hours.
Yeah,
and
something like this.
And then I think it was a bit lower. But I definitely want to have it below 60, personally. Because I just heard the sweet spot is 40 to 55. Or some sources say 40 to 60.
I'm usually at home in my living room where I'm having my guitars. I'm between 45 and 55, sometimes reaching 60.
Okay.
That's
relatively constant.
Yeah.
Throughout the year as well.
Throughout the whole year, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Acoustics are usually the same for most, otherwise there might be slightly higher action.
Yeah.
For strum. Yeah. I also think shouldn't be too low on acoustics. You have 13s on acoustics. Yeah,
that's the other thing.
It's also different. I have the light, the 12.
I'm having 13s, and I'm playing fingerstyle most of the time. So
on the acoustic,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't. So there's more buzzing.
Yeah.
All frets are rounded. Do not like any sharp corners. Meaning.
Yeah, that's the pretty much the first thing I'm also looking at. That was also something I was looking at
Did we?
at the NAMM show with every guitar over there. The first thing I was looking at is how well are the fret ends rounded.
It's always like this over the neck, right?
Yeah.
Just to feel it.
Just
And
to
if
feel, because this one gives you, even if there's a little fret sprout, you can still notice how well are the fret ends dressed in general.
I mean, that's a trade show. You
Yeah.
should like
Bring the best.
bring the best and put the best product
Exactly.
out, get a perfect impression or as good as possible.
Yeah, and that was the thing that I was looking at the most. How well are the fret ends dressed? How much attention to detail does one manufacturer have and the other maybe does not have?
And experiences,
Well,
which were good, which were not that so good, or bad, downright bad.
downright bad, I think there was none.
Okay.
Yeah. I think one was not that good, but I can't really remember which guitar it was. Where I thought, well, aren't you supposed to bring a good model? I'm not sure if it was one of the vintage guitars. They felt somewhat unfinished. The ones that had that
The relict ones.
the relict ones, yeah, they felt a little unfinished that they brought. But I can't really remember if it was also with the fret ends. The one that really stood out to me was
In a positive way.
in a positive way was the Grote.
Those the Chinese.
The Chinese, because they had the fret end dressing of the Ibanez.
Yeah.
That
The
that
spherical.
ball and the spherical one, totally identical. So, yeah, those stood out to me, or surprised me the most. Let's say that. Obviously, the Ibanez were flawless as well over there. Yeah, the Yamaha, the Rev Star was, could be improved. Was not perfect.
Do
It
you
was
know
not
if
bad.
if it was a Japanese or an Indonesian?
I had
one?
all of them,
Okay.
and they were fairly similar in these regards. So they were good, but not as good as the high-end Ibanez ones with the spherical one, or the Grote that also had the spherical. You notice I like the spherical.
There's a tendency for that.
Yeah, and I'm also trying to get those close to spherical when I'm going with the fret and
Do you
dressing
have to
front.
set up anything on this telly? Because it's a. How old is it? When was this model released?
2015.
15. So it's not a new guitar. You just got it a couple of months ago.
Yeah. I think I've raised the action on this one also a little bit.
Hypo Ninja.
Hey, Pooh,
Exactly like this.
how are you doing?
Growth, right?
Yeah, exactly like this. So they are only available in the US for now, unfortunately.
Martin contacted them.
Yeah.
And they asked him if he wanted to develop the European market, and he was
Let
like,
them.
"No, I want a guitar, not develop the European market."
Yeah, they looked. We have a short of them.
Just quickly look for the video posted.
Yeah, we have a short with where I'm showing the finishes of the tops, and
Yeah,
That
it's
one.
This one.
those were fairly impressive because they, just as mentioned, they looked pretty much like the Ibanez with that. So
We're not going. We know that Krena is going. Right after he's leaving Macedonia, he's going to Gear Street, but we're not invited, so we can't go. But it's okay. We wouldn't fit in there anyways because we're not the typical. I mean, we have a bunch of demos and reviews on the channel, but we're not the typical demo review YouTube channel, because
Yeah, and the other thing is, this is for YouTubers to build a relationship with manufacturers, right?
yeah, definitely. The
So-
networking is
So then it's for
Important.
networking and getting sponsorships and all this stuff, and yeah, for us, it's not.
We're
an
not
option.
looking for that.
We're not looking for that. Yeah, we're not allowed to have it. Otherwise, we would
yeah.
have to start taxing everything, make it as an income, and it's
Not
just
worth
not
it.
worth it.
So we're really not looking to
Certainly
get...
not at this point.
No.
Yeah, we've covered this in a few live streams already.
Mhm.
So
So
yeah,
therefore we haven't contacted companies to get product, to make reviews, and
yeah,
Gear Street. I mean, it still would be fun, but we're not really like the target audience.
yeah.
Les is lurking while working. Hey, buddy.
Hey there. Thanks, man.
Neither am I. I'm not going to Gear Street again. He's the man. He's the OG influencer of Les.
Yeah.
And space is limited at the event and newcomers to expand. Yeah, he always has a bunch of new people, and yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense. I think Krenna is going for the third time already.
Yeah,
But-
Brenner's going
but,
once more.
He's also from if I remember correctly, Krenner Krenner is like with his jazzy playing, and I think he even got the nickname the Jazz Guy,
Mhm.
something like that. He's like targeting an audience that the others usually don't target. So it's always great to have him and just bring a different flavor. Makes totally sense to have him there, and he's a great guy and a fantastic player. So all the more reason to have him. So yeah. Everybody's saying hi to each other, especially Les and Janice. I keep contacting Rev, but Derek wants me to pay, so it's been a while. Too bad. Speaking of Rev, Gear and Beer, also from NAM.
Yes.
Better than any coaster. Speaking of coasters,
Name coasters.
Taylor, which is most likely from the Sound Hole.
Yeah.
And a pretty cool coaster, and there's even some pencil markings on there.
It's the cutout from the sound hole. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's like spruce, probably. It's a very light wood.
I would guess so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We don't have Taylor in this
No.
house and your house. We don't buy Taylor. We buy Martin. I mean, you have to because your name's Martin.
That's not a reason.
No, it's the sound as well. The
It's
the
preference.
video next week will be about my latest acquisition, the Martin Dreadnought Jr. And in that video, I also talk about playing the GS Mini and other Taylors for the first time. And sound-wise, it was just not what I was looking for. For me, it's a thing of
The
preference.
thing with Taylors is there are a few ones that I like, and those are mostly the Koa ones because they're a little warmer.
That's exactly what they oftentimes lack, the warmth. And for me, the Martin was a bigger difference to the Larrivée, because the Larrivée is sometimes said to be like, this is Taylor, this is Martin, and Larrivée is somewhere in between.
Yeah.
So it's neither sounding like a Martin, that warmth, but it's also not that bright sounding as a Taylor, so somewhere in the middle. So, and I didn't want to go brighter.
Yeah.
So I had to buy the Martin, but more about that next week.
Ben Tom has joined us. Thanks, brother.
What's up? Hey Tom.
How are you doing?
Monitoring Gear Street closely this year, so this be going to be warned. Who is watching? The moon sees all. Big brother on the moon. Guitar Center did send me a Rev 120. I've not been able to check out yet. Cool. Did you ever play a Rev amp? I've never seen any around. I mean, you can buy them at Thomann, but the local stores don't carry them.
Not sure. At NAMM I was able to play for a minute through the headphones. They had one there where you can play with headphones.
Don't they have like a recording something built in for direct recording as well?
Who is the expert on this?
Can you confirm? I think they have something built in, XLR something or CapSim, IR, all of the above. I don't know, something like that. But I got it covered with the 2 notes torpedo and the Tonmaster, which we will also do a video. The patch cable thingy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's one additional.
The hidden channel.
The hidden channel.
The hidden channel. Martin will demonstrate the hidden channel, the third channel of the Deluxe Reverb. Oh, class is over.
Hey there, Charles. Thanks for joining.
Hey, buddy. Nicely dressed in a shirt.
Well, yes, I ditched him as quick as I could.
Okay, class is over. I need to go. More important things to do.
It was different.
All good in Texas? Charles?
Charles?
Okay, 1 second.
Class is not over.
Ah.
Maybe. Who knows?
All right, so that should be it. I was having some feedback there, and so I closed it out. Hopefully they'll do it.
Okay. All right. So you can hear us now? All good?
Yes.
Okay. I was just asking if everything's all right in Texas.
It is hot.
Yeah, Perth was at like 98. Is it 98 where you are?
No, it is 99 where I am.
Thank God.
So he has much cooler conditions.
Just to top it.
Barely warm. I just need to check what's 99 in Celsius.
Yeah,
40-ish? Oh no, 37. Okay, yeah, that's like a lot.
Benton says, Charles, you look super handsome today, dude.
Oh,
nice.
Warms my heart. Warms my heart. Hello, everybody. Hello.
Just to make you jealous, we have like 80 in Fahrenheit.
I'm gonna have to leave now. Sorry.
No, you have to visit.
I can't work under these conditions.
Mobbing. That's mobbing.
Charles is much louder than we are. So
that's maybe because you have.
How's that? Is that better?
I can't really. Do we have? Oh, we don't have adjusted automatically. Oh, maybe now the volume should be better. That's still from last live hang where we did the acoustic playing. So we didn't have.
Oh, blackjack.
And then we switched over to the lavalier mics also and had the live track going over there.
Okay.
Ben Tom also said, what was
Should
it?
be better now the volume, or at least adjusted. So
Yeah, and I also turned down my mic volume, so that should help.
That's great. I mean, you're doing much more live streams nowadays than we are.
Well, things happen.
A fella has a weekly live stream. Let me
Well,
quickly get your. I mean, most folks in the chat are, you're familiar with, but let me quickly share the link.
Oh, you're so kind.
It's the least we can do. If you dare to have not subscribed to Charles's channel, go and subscribe. He has great videos about fabric topping guitars and a super fun live show, the Guitar Safari, on Sunday. Go and subscribe.
You guys are all too
Ben
kind.
Tom said he's got now the Ampete 88S Studio Switcher yesterday.
When was that?
Quite a few time ago. So I'm
Here.
scrolling.
Damn,
up and down.
It's so busy in the chat now. The Ampete 88 Studio Switcher. Cool. That's an amp switcher.
Yeah,
Very nice.
I would.
Is that the one you looked at?
Yes.
Okay. Now, wasn't there like Frayette one as well?
No, that's the PS1000. That was the power station where it can pretty much power soak. Yeah, it's like a power amp where you can go in it with your amplifier, also with the power amp, and then you can adjust the level
Okay.
if you want.
Coming
So,
back
yeah.
to my ref question, they have built-in two notes, so which is pretty cool. So I guess you can load IRs then and stuff.
It's in Switzerland, Ben Tom. Yeah, the Ampete. I'm fairly sure it's in Switzerland. The one I was looking at was in Switzerland.
Just
I
need to
think it
pin
was
that as
one.
well for you again, Charles. While I'm scrolling.
You don't want to do that. It'll go to my head and I'll get hard to work with.
Blushing.
Yeah, Ben Tom, I was thinking about that one with two Captor X's and get those one switched. That was
Charles looks like a younger version of my dad, and my dad's a really handsome guy. It's not stopping with the compliments, Charles.
So Tom is going to have to be the president of my fan club now.
Buy shirts.
Hello, the octopus ears. How are you, buddy?
Go to Charles's
Ryan
fan
Hall.
shop and buy shirts.
yeah. I'm not wearing it today. You're also not wearing it.
No, I'm wearing my Japanese big wave shirt.
I like it.
Thanks. Echoing. Hey, call.
So I left y'all on while I was in class so I could see what was going on, but I had to mute you so I could concentrate on what I was doing.
Sure.
So it looked like a good stream. Looked like you guys were.
Yeah, we were pretty much, just to wrap it up a little bit, we were talking about our setup preferences and talk about the differences of if you have like a telly, because you have to have a telly, at least one, and a Strat, because it's different to adjust, especially with floating trem, and guitar with a wraparound and stop tail piece, and also acoustics, and just what to pay attention to and what we usually go for. And we also got some input from the chats, how they like to set it up and what they pay attention to. So it's really cool. Do you have like your go-to setup when it comes to, let's talk about electric guitars first, or do you just, is it like specific to each guitar?
I think it's specific really to each guitar, because I feel, what does it feel like? And if I like where it is, I'll leave it where it is. As long as it's properly intonated, right? If it feels comfortable, I'll leave it there. And if it needs to be tweaked, then I'll tweak it. In that way, to me, each guitar has its like own personality. And so, that's kind of what you're reaching for. But if I'm not connecting with guitar, then I'll look closer at that setup.
Okay. And do you like measure? Because I have this Music Nomad tool, and I really like to measure just to get like feedback, and I need figures to work with. And Martin said like he's just adjusting to the point where he likes it, and he doesn't even measure. He doesn't bother.
Initially, I won't measure if it's where I want. Like I said, if I pick it up and it's where I want it to be and it does the thing I want it to do, then I won't. However, if it does need to be adjusted, it is going to be adjusted with a measurement, and I usually start at like 1.5.
See, the thing that I said was I'm not measuring, but it lands pretty much always at the same spot.
Yeah.
So just by feeling, I'm within 0.25 millimeters. I always land about the same. So yeah, there's that.
Yeah, I think you really made the smart move with having that telly sent to Laz rather than me. I just the more I look at it, the more I see you play it, the more I see it hanging on the wall over there.
The lava telly.
Yeah, the smarter choice that was.
Well, the guitar was already in California, so
yeah,
just also made sense.
How far is it from Texas to California?
it is over 1,000 miles. So
okay, never mind.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
The distances in the US, it's always wow, pretty far. It's like to Hamburg, but twice from here.
I can get there in 2 days if I push it. If I was driving.
Huge country. So what's going on in the chat?
Ben Tom has
used the shower in one bathroom and the tube in another bathroom as reverb chambers. Cool.
Yeah, Ben Tom is about to make a studio pretty much like Henning has.
Oh wow!
And yeah, he's planning on having people have guitar vacations at his place.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Great.
That's a cool idea.
Hello, Martian Murray.
Martian Murray.
Martian Murray.
East or west?
I wasn't going to say anything, Lash.
the ones you brought.
Yeah.
They're still in California.
Oh, see, I can't complain because I've got a telly that hasn't shipped yet.
Unfucking the sister telly.
Yes, the sister telly that should have went to Arizona about 3 weeks ago. So
how much is shipping within the US from Texas to Arizona? Is that like expensive?
I could probably send it depending on because the rates fluctuate all the time, right? I can send it probably for about $30-$35, maybe $40, depending.
That's good.
I've had it cost more than that too. Mm-hmm. But during the summer it's a little bit better. The closer you get to the holidays, forget it.
Yeah.
And Ben Tom adds free vacations to his guitar work.
So where's he at?
You just have to make your way here. It's all about the brotherhood of music. And with brotherhood, he's meaning human, not male versus female.
Cool.
So yeah.
There he goes. Yeah, you guys could fly right into Philly International and.
Oh, he's in Pennsylvania.
Yes, he's in Pennsylvania.
Okay. That's one of the states I've been to, and Philly as well. I had Philly cheesesteak.
Yeah.
But that's almost 10 years ago now. I think it was 10 years ago. Damn it. 2013, I was in the US.
First and too long ago.
Yeah. During my master's studies, we had like an educational journey to New York City and Chicago. But we flew to Washington, D.C., drove up through Pennsylvania and New Jersey and what's there as well. Where's Baltimore? What's that state?
That is Maryland.
Maryland, right. And then to New York and then inland flight to Chicago. That's a little bit of East Coast for me. And you've seen the West Coast.
Yeah.
A little bit of California. Philly, Baltimore, New York.
Well, some say California is not the US.
California is California.
California is California.
Different.
So have you gentlemen done the thing already where you are talking about what you got in the hopper to come this month?
In terms of new videos?
Yeah, what do you got coming out next month?
Well, next week will be the video about the Martin Dreadnought Jr. You've seen that one? I think I posted a couple of pictures in the Skype group. That's a cool guitar. I really like it. I mean, it's funny. I had it at band practice. We practice every 2 weeks, and I had it, not the practice we just had on Tuesday, but the practice before that, so about two weeks ago. And both of them said, like, bring the Larrivee again. This one is not sounding this good. I mean, okay, it's a completely different price tag, and especially the pickup, the LR Bags Anthem is just top-notch pickup system. And the Martin has a Fishman Presonic, something like that. I always forget the name. And it's okay, it works, but it's not that great sounding. Acoustically, the Dreadnought Junior sounds great. I really like the sound of it, but plugged in, it's just not that great. And so I, of course, had to pick the Larrivee again. But it's a cool guitar. It has a nice compact body size, shorter scale length, and it plays great. And yeah, next week's video will be about that and a little bit of story talking, how I got it and why I got it. And the week after is probably what we filmed tonight.
Yep.
Which is the Asteroid.
I'm looking forward to that.
That's why Martin brought his telly, because we just wanted to have an acoustic sound and an electric sound as well. That will come in August. And we will probably have an early live hang in August because we will be on vacation afterwards.
Yeah.
So both of us.
I'll be leaving at the 19th.
So
probably maybe even the 18th of August. And yeah, just returning on the 2nd, September 2nd.
Okay. Yeah, I will be just away for 1 week, 21st to 27th, something like that, or 21st to 28th. But yeah, we have an overlap anyways, but we will have the live hang probably on the 17th. And we have some plans for another video, or for 2 videos. Martin will or wants to do a body review of my Gibson SG finally, and probably also the hidden channel on the Deluxe Reverb. You can like jump the channels, and that's not something you usually do on a Deluxe because the frequencies usually cancel out.
Yeah, because it's out of phase. Both channels are out of phase. But you can do this actually if you adjust the EQ so differently, then they're not canceling each other out. So you have pretty much all the bass dialed in on one channel, and on the other channel you have dialed in all the treble. And like this, you can also adjust how the reverb sounds, for example.
Thanks for joining, Rody. Have a good one.
Hey, Rody. Have a good one. Thanks for joining.
So Martin got the idea to jump the channels like you usually do on Marshall amps in another video where where's he from? He's the musician. What's that? What's Music City again?
Well, it depends on whether you're talking. That's a debate because Nashville gets that.
Nashville. He's a Nashville guy,
and Austin gets that title sometimes as well. So they've kind of battled out for that title.
Okay, but he's definitely a Nashville guy, and he has a tube version of the Deluxe Reverb. And Martin watched that video, and he was curious if it also works on the Tone Master. And I was working from home, so I ran downstairs, had to jump the channels and play, and said it doesn't sound like the normal channel. It doesn't sound like the vibrato channel. It sounds like a third channel because it's just different, because it's like mixed together and you have extreme IQ settings, so it's not the out of phase tone, and it works pretty nicely. And last week, I think you tried it and you said that's like the best tone out of this amp so far. That's pretty
just
cool.
in Ostrander.
Okay. Now, when you did it, did you find you had to adjust a lot of your settings on the amp?
all the EQ settings need to be changed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You just have bass and treble on both channels, and I think we ended up cranking the bass on the vibrato channel and cranking the treble on the normal channel, because the vibrato channel on the Tone Master, it's just digitally modeled, but it's like it has more power and it's louder. Mm-hmm. And if the treble is up on that one, it gets piercing, bright sounding. So it's nicer to
have the mellow
to push the treble on the normal channel. Overall, the sweetest sound. But it's the cool thing is the way you can adjust it on the vibrato channel. You're also coloring the reverb of the amp, because when you're pushing the bass, it just changes like the flavor of the reverb. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool. But yeah, we will need to find out how we've set it up for a quick demo of that. But it's pretty cool. That probably also works with basically like the Twin as well for all Fender amps that have two channels.
So, yeah.
But usually you plug into one channel and that's it. It's not like channel switching and on like the DSL where you have a classic gain and a ultra gain. That's just differently.
Well,
so much going on in the chat again.
Ben Tom really likes that idea of that Tone Master, right? He says, if I had a choice between a Tone Master, Princeton Reverb, and a digital modeler for a gig, he would take the Tone Master every time. And of course, he would add in that LPD 87 was later.
LPD 87 is down there.
The deluxe.
The deluxe. It's
little Bo.
I was born in Lviv, in Ukraine. Okay, cool. Ukraine. Yeah, I think Lawrence usually designs his pedals with having a Fender amp as a pedal platform in mind. So with the Tone Master, it's just perfect. And I just had to. It's not like I had to sell my Blues Junior, but it made sense to sell the Blues Junior because it was just covering dust. Because with the Tone Master and that like real Fender sound, the Blues Junior just doesn't sound like a typical clean Fender platform to me. Yeah. It's just different sounding. It's not. I wanted a Princeton Tone Master originally, but it wasn't out back then. But now I'm really happy with the deluxe reverb, so I don't need to get the smaller one. That's really cool amp.
Well, it's nice to know those Tone Masters are that good, right? Because I guess the difference between the weight alone, it's going to ensure that you can be able to move it around and do the things you want to do with it.
Thank you for putting out once you change any kind of gain or EQ affect the whole signal. Most people don't even think of that. We need more engineers in the chat. You're the engineer.
All right, goodbye, Janice.
Good to go. Thanks, Janice.
Thanks
for
Janice.
joining. See you. Yeah, with Martin as an engineer and or with his technical proficiency, it's funny. We have a lot of videos out now, and whenever there's a technical question, I always forward it to Martin. Like, you handle that. But it's a great way to get new subscribers because we often it's like a back and forth. Martin gets into detail, answers really thoroughly, and they're always impressed by the reaction time because it's usually within a couple of hours.
Yeah, usually.
And the detail and we noticed that people really appreciate that. And generally, we get a lot of questions under all the videos, the wiring tutorials. They're really popular. They get constantly views and comments, people complimenting the videos and asking questions because they have their own projects.
Yeah, so and they're very well done. I mean, very well done. You guys, you take down to the the thing that I really loved about it, the diagrams, right? The diagrams that are on there, and so much so that when I did rewired my Telecaster, I said, "Hey, can I steal the diagrams to put in my video?"
Yeah,
they're all hand drawn in paint.
But it's clear and visible. Everything's visible. Martin is so freaking quick.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I try my best. Yeah, today is a little bit a hard day for me because work colleague of mine left the company, and next to them I feel like being a small monkey. So yeah, he was really amazing.
You compared him to Dr. House.
Yeah, he's a Dr. House kind of guy. So he can be a real asshole if you're asking stupid questions, right? He's one of those guys who has a rather short temper, and if you did not do any research and he notices it, or if you're trying to be a smartass and you have no idea of what you're talking, you really have a bad time with him. Luckily, that was not the case for me. So I got along with him really well, and it was 10 years working with him together.
Well, it's always sad when someone moves on like that, but hopefully he's moving on for something that'll be better for him, right?
Mm-hmm. It definitely is, yeah. But I would have loved to learn more from him. Right?
Yeah.
And we're probably, or most certainly, losing our best developer. So this,
I asked Martin if he's like ChatGPT. You ask him a question and he gives you the code, and Martin says yes, but he doesn't make any mistakes. Because with ChatGPT, you can ask them to write you code for in probably most of the coding languages, but it's not always working the right way. But didn't Rev make the pedal, build a pedal, and they make the schematics for the what's it, Blues Driver style?
Blues Driver style that they had to
they had to adjust it.
Yeah, to fix it. It did not work.
To get it work, yeah.
Well, all that stuff gets so complicated too. It's like, the amount of code you have to write to do something, and of course Martin knows this, but the amount of code you have to do, to write to get something to do it, and in just the sheer possibilities, mistakes you can make, right? And then even if you design it all the right way, it doesn't mean it's going to do what you really wanted to do.
English and Germans work with both.
So Ben Tom is also writing. He was building a database for Skywants. He questioned why I implemented the system I did when I was about 95% finished.
Good point to ask questions like that.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Sounds familiar. No, change of requirements once you're finished.
Wow. No.
No. Probably the most impressive thing in my work career was with a customer where I've noticed he made the specification and wanted the software obviously to his specification. And it was an automatic die change on a press. Right, so it changes automatically the die from it with moving tables where the new die is inserted into the press, and the other one is removed and cleaned and whatever. And I was looking at it and implementing it, and while we were also at the facility testing everything, I've noticed this is not a good system because the operator has to go into the safety zone each and every time 1,000 times, and you can compress this. He has only to go in there once if you time the things properly, and the process is a little bit different. And I told him that this is not maintainable, so he's not gaining much time with this automatic die change, because each and every time he's in there, he has to acknowledge again that the safety is right all around, the whole press and the whole table that was driving the dice around. So I told him, that's not gonna work. You always have to acknowledge these things, and then you have to drive. Maybe just one drive was driving something out again, and then you had to do something manual again, and then get in there into the safety zone, acknowledge it again, and so on and so forth. So I told him that's not gonna work, and he was, yes, I want it this way. This is the specification. You have to make it this way. And I'm like, you're the customer, but I wrote him an email with just stated how this process could be improved and how the specification is and how we shouldn't do the specification. And he once more replied with an email, yes, I want it to our specification. This is how we've specified it. This is how it has to work. Right. And once everything was finished, he came there and obviously tested everything and said, this is not a workable machine. You can't do it like this. It takes way too much time. I'm like, yes, that's what I've said 2 weeks ago.
Here's the email.
I didn't say much about the email, and he's like, no, you will have to change it to this and this, pretty much what I've told him, how it should be, how we can improve it, right? You have to change it, and you have to buy it. Mark my words, it was not my customer. Hey, man.
Hey, man.
Hey there.
Look who showed up.
I just got home and I saw you guys were still live, so I jumped on.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks for joining us.
Great to have you.
Oh, hello there.
Thanks for having me.
So
What's up, Charles? Don't bug me. I work during the days. Not all of us can join live. Really?
Well, a fella worked 2 hours extra yesterday and then worked through lunch again today so I could make this happen.
See, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So thank you very much for making these extra hours to make this happen once more.
Yeah.
So but
what's up, Ferd? Blackjack Guitar, Guitarman 45, Brother Tom. Everybody.
Martin.
Lots of familiar faces.
Yeah.
You got
to finish your story?
Yeah. I'll finish my story quick. So in the end, he said, we'll get the big bosses of the company and you will have to pay it because, you did not make it right. And I was
not right.
And I'm not. He's not really my customer. He's my customer's customer, and I couldn't shut my trap at that point. So I told him, well, you made the specification. You clarified that you wanted to that specification. You have it to the specification. You will have to pay it if you want to change it. He said, well, we're gonna get the big bosses of the company. Big one supplier for big automotive companies in Germany, and said, we'll get the big bosses and then we'll let the pants down. I said, well, I know who's not gonna bend over.
It's not gonna be me.
It's not gonna be me. He called the bosses and they flew in with a helicopter.
Oh wow!
That's how how important it was to them. And meanwhile, I went over to the other office, printed out my emails, printed out the specification, and the big bosses came in. Why are you not doing this? It's your responsibility to make this working. Well. Here is the email that you wanted to this specification, right? Tell me that it's not from your company, right? Tell me that it's not this guy who wanted just this specification. Here is the specification. We are going now to the machine. You can cross everything. If you find one flaw that is not in there, like in the specification, we will pay it, right? And obviously they didn't find anything. We haven't seen that guy anymore at the site.
Doesn't sound like a big loss.
Yeah, and they paid everything, and we made it work then within just a few days.
Cool.
So yeah, that was my biggest win at work.
Nice.
Yeah,
Screw the specifications.
they
Just make it right.
they thought, well, they can do it with me because I was really young at that time, so I was probably 21, something like this.
Okay.
But I've already returned from working 1 year in India, so I had quite some work experience already under.
I can imagine now.
Under several conditions. So, yeah.
Ben, how's the basement situation?
Humid. Very humid. All right. First of all, it's so humid outside and so hot that every time I go outside, my glasses fog up and I can't see anything. It's that hot and humid out. I don't know. I got the dehumidifier running. Had it running for 2 hours. Came home, checked it just now. Tray's empty, but all the coils are frosted over. So I don't know what that means other than bad. But it's not on the floor. It's now on the coils. But yeah, this much water this morning in the laundry room and halfway across. I'm glad I kind of moved upstairs because I would have had a soaker getting out of bed this morning. Because half the old bedroom was flooded and it was just about to come into the studio as per usual. And I thought to myself, literally, I woke up this morning, put on the kettle for a cup of tea, and I was going to come down here to grab some clothes for the day because I'm still moving clothing upstairs. And I'm like, and I looked down the stairs and I'm like, the cat peed on the floor. Great. That's like my day. And then when I got down further up, oh no, because the floorboard went squishy. And I went, no. And I turned and I opened the door and I saw my indoor swimming pool. I went,
heck no.
Reach into the water, get the sump pump working enough to drain it down the first time. And then it wouldn't shut off. Once the pump was on, it wouldn't shut off. And fortunately, there's a Home Depot 1.5 kilometers from the house. So ran over there, bought a 5 horsepower thing. So Tom, the stuff you had sent there yesterday basically went into buying a new sump pump because brother Tom, well, it's just been this week has not been good financially, is what I'm saying.
I'm familiar with that idea.
Well, I didn't tell you the other part, Charles. Yesterday, my sister got a bill. Apparently, where we moved Dad into, they do a first and last situation. So that was a $3,000 bill we weren't expecting yesterday. So Tom there kind of helped us out yesterday. And thank you very much, Tom, regarding that. So yeah, drying out somewhat. And I just had I don't know. I think I got that ESPN thing. I don't know. Because last night I'm thinking I shouldn't leave the Gibson in its case on the floor of the studio just in case this happens. And then it happened. So the first thing, the Gibson's now up on the chair arms, like kind of thing over there. So it's going to be the last guitar to get flooded.
It's a good idea.
And I'm considering moving my studio upstairs now into one of the bedrooms.
Okay. So the problem was the pump then? Or did something break, like a pipe or?
The automatic float on the sump pump didn't work because for some reason they have it set up here. The water from your laundry goes into the sump pump system and then just gets pumped out. Actually into the ditch out front, I noticed. So, sure. And, of course, they get sticky with laundry soap going through and lint and this and that. Got 3 years out of that one. But the weird thing is the water table is usually much lower this time of year. Like, my sump pump doesn't go off between June and September, generally.
Right.
But we've had so much rain lately that apparently the water table's up.
Would it have been worse if it had hit you, in winter time?
Wintertime would be worse because the groundwater is that much higher. So, like here, once I got it down, I knew I had half an hour to an hour to replace the pump before it would flood again. Whereas the wintertime, that sucker's going off every 10 minutes. Much louder now. Glad I moved upstairs because, man, it sounds like a vacuum going on.
Oh, you're doing really well, Tom.
Yes, I'd say so.
Speaking of which,
now you can trade some pump stories with Steve from Boston.
Believe me, yeah. This is the second pump since I've moved in, and basically, yeah, the flood today was just as bad as the original flood I had down here after I moved in. It was about 6 months after I moved in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
how long?
Yeah, apparently some pumps are good for 3 years. So guess what? In 2 years, I'm going to buy a spare sump pump.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Just in case.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's $300 every time, but.
So, any serious damage or?
Yes and no. Like there was a box with a bunch of posters that got water damage, but they've been sitting in a box since I moved in, so I don't think I really need the posters per se. Okay. I did have my vintage Fender speaker cabinet that I moved downstairs, but it's on casters, so it just was just out of the water.
Okay.
And mostly Rubbermaid containers in there for that reason, because that's the first room to flood, and I think the whole floor is slightly gradient, so it would take a lot for it to flood in here.
So you're going to spray down those casters with some WD-40 so they don't rust out on you?
No.
That
would be the smart thing to do, Charles. Now it just has a lock mechanism, right? Seized in place. But I got new tires on the van this afternoon. That was fun.
Yeah, that is a lot more expensive buy these days than it has been not too short ago.
Right. And I got the tires on sale. Normally $300 each for $210. So that was a good. Where's my fire making happener thing? Handheld thing. There we are. Perfect. It's been a stressful day to say the least.
Yeah. Do you need to make it move? WD-40, right? Shouldn't it move? Duct tape.
One or the other.
One or the other.
I don't know what the policy is on this place, Bo. That's my sister's department. She takes care of that stuff.
Let me quickly read out an old WD-40 ad. Do you have tight nuts or a rusty tool? Then use WD-40 in the man-size pressure pack. The tight nuts and rusty tool. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that was the other thing. I couldn't find any tools today. I don't know where all my tools went. My pipe wrenches, gone. Channel lock, Charles. Even a channel lock, for the big fitting into the pump. So, fortunately, pair of ice grips, backed off all the way to where the adjustment was in my hand and put on a shelf.
Been there.
They were just big enough, or open up just enough to clasp kind of onto the plastic nut for the reducer adapter, so I could just unscrew the pump off the hose system. And so I do that. I made sure the new pump has the reducer adapter to fit in, and I go to put it in, the hose goes right through the hole. And I went, no, because I went from a third horse to a half horse, which is even larger day. So we got the reducer in the half horse, and then the reducer again from the third horse into that reducer. So you'd be proud, Charles. You'd be proud.
Yeah, I can
don't know where all my tools are, though. I don't know where all my tools are. I have several pairs of channel locks gone.
That's okay. I needed a can of WD-40 yesterday, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And I know I've got 3 of them, and so I had to go buy another one.
I just have one can upstairs.
You just posted the link.
I posted the link to the old poster or advertisement.
Nice.
Makes all tools like new again. Tools slide in and out with ease. Lubricates dry passages with. Makes screwing a pleasure. Gives better penetration. It's not me. It's the ad.
For full penetration, use WD-40.
Better penetration. And it makes screwing a pleasure. I mean, it's always a pleasure, isn't it? I don't need WD-40 for that.
Oh my.
When was that? 60s, 70s?
I have no idea.
It's brilliant.
I guess
you showed me that. I didn't know of it.
I guess it's the reason why they got so popular.
Yeah, but it works. It works pretty good.
I've used that stuff on all kinds of things for over the years. You buy a cheap shop vac, that'd be a great backup. True, but when you start flooding while you're asleep, Ryan, that's the problem. That was the problem.
It's good that you had to go downstairs to get some clothes. If you
I know.
Have anything or everything upstairs and just the studio downstairs, and you.
Yeah, and then I wouldn't have noticed for another 2 or 3 hours if I happened to look downstairs as I was going out into the garage to leave for the day. Is we have an entrance right there.
Yep.
But yeah. Like I didn't get a cup of tea this morning. I got like 2 sips, maybe. An hour later, I saw it. And the tea bag broke inside my cup of tea, which I noticed when I was dumping it out later. I was like, I don't even know if I want to go and get the tires done today. Like, I don't want to leave the house. You know, I just want to wrap myself in bubble wrap and go back to bed.
Wait for the day to go by and be over. Oh, boy.
Oh, and you'll like this too, Charles, because outside the laundry room is where the litter box is. So the cat decided to drop a deuce in the litter box while I was at Home Depot. So I was working on it. That's what I'm smelling.
It's not your day, Ben. It's not
at all. That is funny. You fellas were on here. You sent me the link this morning. Oh, actually, yeah, that's how the day started. One of you all waking me up with my phone going off at 6:30 this morning. Hey,
Sorry,
I'm like, who in the darn tootin'? And I look, I'm like, well, they mean well. And then that's when I replied when I got up. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know when I'll be home. And then I saw you guys were still on, and I was like, run down here, set up my stuff, grab some lifestyle choices, and have a.
Yeah, I'm just on Instagram. Martin posted it. For us, it was 1 p.m. So right after lunch. I think we were texting.
Yeah, okay, so that's 7 a.m. for me. I do 7 p.m. I don't do 7 a.m. 7 a.m. is getting up to pee before going back to bed. That's 7 a.m.
Again, or the first time.
Well, I didn't know that you would get a sound notification when I'm writing.
Well, the weird part is I'm pretty sure I turned off notifications for Instagram months ago. So I don't know how you got through that whole. Like, they're like, we don't care. It's Martin. You got it. I'm like, all right.
It's VIP, right?
Just go through. Maybe it's just an update on the app, and then you just all of a sudden get notification.
Could be. Charles is into the A&W as well. I can tell.
Yeah.
Perfect. Blackjack Guitar says, Ben, like to say karma is... Well, you see, karma is real because my sister did call me in quite a state yesterday when the big bill came in, and I'm not gonna let Tom reached out, or I reached out to Tom. Tom helped me out. My sister reached out to one of our uncles who helped us out, and then as her boyfriend Charles calls, right, and says like, "What's going on? You're in." She left a frantic voicemail like, "Sky's falling. We need." Guess who got a bonus at work yesterday? Well, today it was coming, or at the end of the week. So it's like, wow. Karma is real. Like, you go through your struggles, but appreciate that, Ryan. So, yeah, it's been a week. Shot 7 demos. That's why I put out a demo today, too. Get the ad revenue to pay for some pump thing.
Might as well.
Oh, and for those, I don't know if you've seen the demo yet today, guys. The Billy Joe Armstrong Jr. That literally on the hang tags includes awesome hard shell case, not just hard shell, but awesome hard shell case
with pink plush inside, or is it leopard?
I forgot to write in the description because I did make them go and dig out the case. Because it's anything but awesome. Somehow it's in the shape of a hard shell case, but it really gives you cheap gig bag vibes looking at it. It just looks really cheap.
Bo earlier mentioned he's transitioning all his business now to his children so he can concentrate on his music. They will be in charge soon to a point I will always have a final word.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's up, Wayne McConnell?
Gotta plan the succession of the company.
And I think
usually
Tom
if
and
you,
Bo are planning something like Bow Street 42.
Well, Bo is buying every piece of gear on the planet to have the full service studio with all the gear already there, live music venue, as well as camping available, and there's a pool and there's barbecue. Like, he's building utopia for us guitar players, I think. Shangri-La, I'll call it Shangri-Bo. I don't know.
Bow Street 45.
45. There we go. I dig it.
We have a name.
And fun fact, how did Guitar Man 45 get his name? He had been playing guitar for 45 years when he created his account.
Okay.
The more you know.
Yeah.
Well, going back to that hang tag, if you've got to say that your guitar case is awesome, it probably isn't.
Because we really know awesome stuff doesn't need to advertise. They just are, right?
It's like a real king doesn't have to call himself a king, right?
Exactly. You just know. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Do you want a Gretsch demo tomorrow, Charles?
Yes, please.
All right. Would you like the Cadillac green with the big speed in the gold hardware that you fell in love with at Guitar Center?
Yes, please.
See, now that's how we know, guys, that karma is real, because Charles and I were hanging out, was it Monday night after my show, like this, in the StreamYard. And he starts browsing Guitar Center while we're hanging out. And he finds at his local Guitar Center this beautiful Cadillac green Gretsch with the Bigsby and blah, 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 and this and that. And then I go into my Long and McQuaid. Was that yesterday? 2 days ago.
That exact model.
2 days ago. And lo and behold, one of the employees is in one of the lesson room taking photos of used gear to put on the Gear Hunter site. And there's Charles' guitar. So I felt I had to do a demo of it. So,
Of course.
Especially if you end up buying it, because then we have Symmetry's guitar demoed on the channel, and it'll be one of your guitars demoed on the channel.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
It was, we tried hard to make that happen. I actually went over to Guitar Center and I took my PRSSC 245. And since I got the Vox, I didn't really need the Firefly semi-hollow anymore. So I took it over there and I left them in the trunk, and I went inside and I checked out the Gretsch. Says, am I really going to like it, or am I just liking the look of it? And I sat down and I played it for about 20 minutes, and and I was deep into it, and the guy comes over and he says, can I help you with anything? And I said, well, yeah, can you do anything more on this? And they're like, well, we really can't take anything off our used gear right now. We don't have that much in, and blah, blah, blah.
Which I call
okay. I said, well, what about a trade-in? He's like, well, what do you got? And I says, this is what I've got. He's like, yeah, that'll probably do it. Okay, so I'm like, okay, I'll be right back. So I go out to the car and I bring them both back in, and they start looking them up, and from they start lowballing me right away. He's like, yeah, that's gonna do it. Go ahead and bring them in. It's like, and then you start opening them up. Of course, my 245 is pretty much immaculate, with the exception of a small dent and a couple, finish scratches that you can buff out here and there. And they're like, but they really start, they there's what they're going to sell it for, and there's what they're going to give you for it. And I get that. Right? They got to make money. But what they said they were going to sell it for is BS, because I had already pre-priced them all on what was on Guitar Center for 245s. I knew what they were selling them for. I knew what they were getting. So I had kind of pre-figured out. And, and it wasn't horrible. It was about what you would expect them to pay you, right? But it's like, okay, we're trying to do a trade here. You're getting merchandise for merchandise, and so you still have your opportunity to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Because we know you didn't sit there and pay the whole $600 you're trying to charge for that Gretsch either. So, but they were trying to make profit on profit, which
no bueno.
And so
taught this boy well. I've taught this boy well, is what I'm saying. He's cheap, just like me.
Took my toys and went home.
Always on
You
the
outdid me on that Univox. I would have paid the asking price, but nope. Charles still managed to get a few bucks off because that's the way he rolls.
I can't give what they're asking, and that was why I called. That's like I want to know because it sounded like a good price to me. It's like it read right to me. It's like okay, but is it all the money? Do I have any room on it? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciated you being on tap for that. I knew you were busy.
I don't know what I was doing, but yeah, I was piddling around here doing stuff, probably yelling at the cat. I don't know. Yeah.
Charles,
so what was the topic you had here? The perfect guitar setup.
Yeah.
And other things. All right. Perfect guitar setup for me. I don't know.
We're at
half of factory. Half a factory. Like if they want to do 8,000th relief on the neck, give me 4. If they want 4/64ths action, give me 2. Half a factory. That's all I need. Half a factory. Perfect setup. Now, if we're talking rig setup, 2 combo amps, 112s, tube, obviously, 1 British, 1 American, pedal board that weighs more than your guitar in its case or an amp, and and at least 3 guitars of different flavors. What's up, Zach Thong?
Should I disclose my perfect rig?
Your perfect rig setup.
Yeah, rig setup.
Not the guitar setup. The setup we talked about, Ben, was mostly like action relief and stuff like that.
So actual setups.
Actual guitar setup, yeah.
Yeah, so whatever factory is, half. Whatever it is, half. Half the relief, half the string height, half.
Okay. That's low then, because Fender factory setups are... I mean, they usually have like manuals where they give this factory setups.
Half.
So, okay.
Factory setup for me, that's a slide guitar setup for me, is factory string height.
Okay. That low for you. Okay.
Well, yeah, I don't press very hard with a slide, so I can get away with it for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least I think I can. The crowd that watches goes, no, you can't, but I don't care.
What do they know? So your rig, your perfect rig setup.
Yeah. I need 1 pedal to complete the tone.
Okay, so the JTM.
JTM with the 2x12.
The 335.
The 335. Then
you need 1 pedal.
I need 1 pedal.
Overdrive?
No. I need an ABY pedal.
So you can go stereo.
To go into the JTM as well as in the AC15.
This is where I was wondering. I'm like, okay, so what's the other amp?
Yeah.
He needs this.
That's it.
That's
here.
It.
Actually, if you want, you can borrow it. I don't need it.
See, I just use I like using a modulation pedal that's stereo because then it just widens everything out more, if possible. Although I was looking, what was I looking at yesterday? A stereo flanger. I didn't know Boss did a stereo flanger, and
okay.
Like I don't need to see this because I almost bought it and I can't afford it. I bet I thought, stereo, with stereo flange. Come on,
the flanger.
That'd be big and sounding. Yeah.
Cool.
Ben Tom wants to know how many heads and how many cabinets he gets to pick for his rig.
Tom, you get 4 because you get to have quadraphonic sound.
Quadraphonic.
Or Tom can have a dozen because Tom picked up an amp peak this week, so he can have all the amps and heads.
Well, he's collecting all that rack gear, so I'm surprised that was the question that got asked.
Remember when Tom said this spring how he was going to downsize and just have 1 or 2 amps and 3 guitars and basically no pedals, and he was going to be minimalistic? and I told him he was full of poo, and he didn't believe me. And I said, "I know you, Tom." And he says, "Yeah, but I know me better." And apparently not, because he's now bought all the gear. I think he's bought 4 SD 3000s or whatever the originals were. Not the Boss reissue.
Oh, wow.
They're beautiful devices.
How much is the original one? Because the new one is like 500 something.
I have no idea. That's a question for Tom. Tom?
Tom? It's not that expensive.
There's us talking about mixing consoles. No.
Yeah, he says he's building it to bring people to his house to jam for the jamming experience.
Yeah, it's going to turn into Hotel California. You check in, but you can't leave.
Pro Junior or player.
Who needs an amp switcher that looks like that?
Tom.
Like, are you kidding me?
Get that one as well, just so you know.
Look at.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That's how many ins and outs, folks.
I'm thinking that's not enough.
All of them.
All the MP.
How many?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh wow, that's really.
Yeah.
I don't have enough amps for that. Not nearly.
Yeah,
that's outboard studio gear when you're doing routing like that. That's and let's wait till he starts getting into preamps and he's got a rack unit that's taller than him and it's all like, I don't know, name your preamp.
He says,
and then the 200 series, 500 series slots, and he's got, well, here's my Neve and here's this. And, we were talking about Neve boards the other day. He's like, oh, I want to get a Neve board so bad. I was like,
this one?
Sure.
Yeah. 2 or 3 of them for all my amps. But and I thought I have a lot of gear.
It's like when you watch the show Hoarders, but it's with audio gear.
Yeah, I'm thinking to myself, Charles, Bo was like, when I was holding up that photo, he goes, what's that? And where do I get one?
Yeah. Well, Bo's got 3 in a box somewhere.
Right, he's already got 3. Yeah, and he's got them daisy chained to each other, right? This one goes into 10 more, and this one...
Stacked.
What's up, William Silva?
Hey, William.
That work.
Still here.
Appreciate that.
He's lurking. Maybe Les is also still lurking. Who knows?
Yeah. Tom says we're not going to talk about outboard rack gear or microphones. No, the best thing to recommend, get the virtual mic pack from Blackbird Studios. If you're into your virtual recording, those things, I don't know how it works, Charles. Like, you change the virtual mic on the virtual amp that you're virtually playing through, and it does make a difference. Those Blackbird Studio mics, ooh, they sound all kinds of warm and nice and pretty close to analog. Not that I used them on my recording, which I did.
All that stuff is too complicated for me. I just want to turn a knob.
That's why I have a producer. Not to sound hoity-toity, but that's why I have a producer, so I don't have to deal with that. I just show up with an idea in my head, and then we make a song out of it. Which I need to book studio time soon, so we can get someone's theme song done.
For the Sunday stream?
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's several versions that Ben has floating around. And
there's Charles may have 3 different theme songs. We're getting, it's getting ridiculous is what it's getting.
We're gonna have to have one, at least 2, one for the intro, one for the outro, right?
Right, and then your own personal one when you appear on my channel, which will be a slideshow that's all Charles somehow.
Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that.
Yeah, they're like, it's just photos of wet sanding. That's all I saw was 22 photos of wet sanding. And about 14 different Star Wars shirts.
We got X-Wings, we got Y-Wings, we got TIE Fighters.
Ryan, yes, we were talking to each other in RJ's chat yesterday. Ryan, you asked me about it. Because you asked me before the show started, do you know what they're debuting? And I'm like, I wouldn't say it even if I knew, because you don't do that in the chat right before it starts, when it says mystery item unboxing, thing, and it's this. No, I know. I wouldn't have a wrench very long in YouTube if I leaked information like that.
Spoilers.
But yes, I highly recommend the Virtual Jeff. First of all, if you haven't seen it already, it's a virtual trem bar for your guitar, which you just mount wherever on the guitar and works very much like a trans trem. And it has a virtual capo that goes up or down 2 octaves because you need that. You don't. Wow. And now they got an extra box for it. So now the bar works as a volume control. So you can do volume swells with the bar.
Wow.
And if you pull back on the bar, it's a 9 dB boost.
And how does it work? You plug
it's all digital, Lucas. You're asking the digital guy, like, I don't know. It's virtual. I don't know. But yeah,
cable wise, just
you have an output. The guitar goes into the box, which is a brain of some kind, and then there's another cable that comes off the box that goes to the device. So you actually have 2 cables coming off your guitar.
Okay.
Yeah. And RJ had his mounted just behind the bridge of a Jakey Lee Charvel. And it was cool. And it tracks very well. I was shocked. The guy's Australian that designed it, and he's, I don't know. He had a ponytail, so I believed him, you know.
Compression pedal and form of a trem arm.
It was cool. It was a good crowd over there.
But the name is a little bit weird. Why do you call that Jeff?
Jeff Beck.
Okay.
Because, so this guy traditionally played 335s, so no trem. And then he was jamming with Strat guys who were able to obviously do wiggle stick stuff. So he wanted to know how to do that with a 335. And so when he called it virtual, they were going to call it the virtual whammy. He was, no. And he's like, now I can be like Jeff Beck. Because he had a whammy pedal and it wouldn't do the same thing. And so he called it the virtual Jeff. And he even works on acoustic guitars. Yeah. As he was saying, he said on RJ's show how he did a dive bomb. And the guy was like, how did you do that? And then he came over and he said, if you need a hand with distribution, hit me up. Hands him the card. He goes, I see you work for Sam Ash. No, it was Sam Ash.
Wow. But it's quite costly. I'm not sure how much it costs in Canada or the US.
It was like 650 Canadian for me, I think.
600 euro for us, so that's...
Yeah.
It's like...
What?
870 Canadian.
But how many trim systems do you get to put on all your guitars? Because all you do is use Velcro, and then you could put it on all your guitars. So it's really... If you have 10 guitars, it's only 65 euro per guitar. That's what I'm saying. Charles is like, no, it isn't. It is. It is, Charles. It is. It just goes to every guitar that you. I want to try it on an acoustic. Just feel how. I don't know.
That's an interesting concept.
Well, it is. It's interesting concept, but it's more expensive than any guitar I have. So it's like.
But again, Charles, you're cost effective.
Different shape.
Yes, I know. I'm a cheap bastard. I get it.
For now. Because once you run out of $500 guitars to buy, then you're buying $600 guitars. See how that works?
Mm-hmm. The Bixby pedal. Yeah. Ben, did you ever play the Game Changer, the Bixby pedal? That's like Bixby
pedal shape? I know of it, but I have not tried it. I don't have good luck with Bixby's. As noted in one of the demos coming up, where I have to stop and retune the guitar because it pulled the G string flat and the D string sharp somehow. And I'm pulling on it to try to reset the strings. I'm pushing it forward, trying to reset, and all it's doing is getting worse. And then I stop and I retune. And do I edit that out of the demo? No. It's awesome. Much like yesterday's video when I demoed the Jazzmaster, where I realized halfway through that the rhythm circuit, the pickup selector does nothing on the rhythm circuit. It's all in there.
I've seen that one. And that satin finish, right?
Yeah, satin.
Glossy satin.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the other rant on these Gretches I've been demoing. Shallow U-neck, Martin. Shallow U-neck. You know what a shallow U-neck is? It's a C-neck.
Cut that off, and it's a C. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole point of the U is straight out shoulders, and then U in a C doesn't have the straight off shoulders, and they're like, oh yeah, thin U neck. No, that's a C neck. And I'm playing, I'm like, this is the exact same as a Fender neck. Half the Gibsons out there, they all have the same neck.
Marketing.
Rant. Oh, there's rants in the videos, folks.
Wouldn't be
That's as bad as what me doing the 61 SG reissue. There's no such thing as a 61 SG.
Yeah.
61 Les Paul that looks like an SG. Yes. I even rented Deltron to himself about that. And he had some answer, but I didn't believe him.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. No, there is no oh, blah, blah, blah. Look at this 1961 Gibson catalog. You will not see an SG listed. You'll see Les Paul listed. That looks like an SG. Yeah. Apparently, I've come on just a rant.
When did they move to SG? In 62?
I believe 1963 they changed the name.
Yeah.
I believe.
So, 63 or 64 even.
Yeah, it's one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that in the video. I said it was either 63 or 64. Definitely not 61, though. Yeah. And they're putting different Bigsby's on different Gretches. Some of them have the tailpiece that connects with the strap button, like the full on. And then they got the other ones that they just bolt on the top.
Yeah.
I haven't decided which I like more.
63.
1963. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, with the ones that are more Les Paul shaped, those are putting that B5 on, right? You know, the one that just bolts on. And then if it's a semi-hollow, then you're going all the way down to the button.
Okay. I don't know, because I did one of each under your recommendation. Oh, yeah, and by the way, Charles, you should select the Belleville store as your home store, because those two Gretches you requested me to do are on display behind the cash registers. Those are like the marquee guitars on display in the store.
Well, yeah, I went right to the Belleville store to get the links, because you're like, okay, which ones do you want me to do? And so I had that first quilted one in the chat right after you said it. It's like, oh.
Yeah, and but that's it. I didn't have to go looking for them. I literally walked in, turned right to the right to say hey to the guys working the cash, and I'm like, there's the guitar right there under a spotlight, going, pick me, Ben, pick me.
So you tell some guy from Texas sent you to.
Yeah. And I made them get a Kramer down off the ladder so I could demo a Kramer Striker.
And Ryan says some pump days are made for Ben rent days.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
Love it.
What else I did? Yeah, I did a bunch of Gretches for you there. The P90 Gretsch, the Quilted Maple Gretsch, the Cadillac Green Gretsch, all the Gretches. Almost did a baritone telly, but my hand was starting to cramp up, and I didn't feel like bringing on the 13-gauge strings on a baritone telly after shooting 7 demos. I grabbed it with the right hand, Charles, and the left hand's going, put it back, put it back, put it back.
We're not doing that.
We're not. Although, sold that Epiphone Firebird that I demoed last week.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. That's, a guy started noodling. I'm like, quite the guitar, right? Yep. And then 20 minutes later, he snagged it up.
So the Firebird, that's when you asked me about the neck dive.
Yeah.
Did it have neck dive, the Firebird you played?
Didn't seem to. Not sitting in my lap anyways. I didn't really notice. No, because I was leaning on the upper horn a bit, like I do when I play my Explorer. So it was more the reach I'm not used to, but because I've been playing Explorer lately, I'm used to reaching out to the left. Like it feels like a bass in that respect.
Yeah.
You know, Ben, I was wondering, since you're doing those demos there in that store, perhaps you should put a playlist together of all the demos from their store, so they can just play them
in the store.
Yeah,
that's possible. Although it's funny, I'm standing there holding my LPD Lost Dutchman, because that's what they use for the dirt, And a guy who owned a studio in Guelph, Ontario, apparently moved down to the area, and he's selling off old studio gear he doesn't need anymore, including a Mesa Boogie triple rectifier, which I don't know if you've ever looked in the back of one of those, but it's literally tubes all the way across. Just all the tubes. All the tubes. All the tubes. And I was like, ooh, what's that? And he goes, no, what's that in your hand? I went, oh, this? I'm like, oh, it's like a Timmy with a switch to make into a plexi. So what? He's like, I have to hear this. I'm like, oh, there's a demo on my channel. He's like, well, who are you? So I told him. So he subscribed. Check it out. He's like, sweet, where can I get one? I'm like, well, they've basically been out of work. This is 4 years old and it was a limited run. But once in a while, he'll bring out something called a Dutch. And that's the same circuit. He's like, okay. So, yeah.
Tom is giving us informations about SGs, Gibsons, and Les Pauls. He says 62 to 65 patent number. Played. So only 56 to late 61 are truly PAFs. Late 56 though was in the 8th string device, not the 6th string guitar. That didn't happen till February 1957. And the best Les Paul he ever played was a 57 gold top.
Okay.
Dark back, all gold neck, all original, with literally a baseball bat for neck.
That P90 Les Paul I demoed last month is one of the best ones I played in a long time. That really spoke to me. I don't really know. I played a lot of Les Pauls.
I really have a little bit of a soft spot for a P90 gold top Les Paul.
Yeah. Well, this one was better. It was a Tobacco Burst P90, which, because I'm not a gold top fan myself. I just don't like the gold top paint.
Yeah.
But I love me some Tobacco Bursts, and that thing. Ooh. There was a custom shop they had in there, an R8, that really played well as well. Like I didn't know it was an R8 because it was hanging on the bottom shelf, and the neck wasn't overly big or anything. And I just started playing on it, and it was super resonant, and just I couldn't tell you why it was so much better, but it was. And then I looked at the back, I'm like, oh, there's the custom shop medallion. I'm like, I get it, they are better. But I couldn't tell you why, but it was. It just was. It was just
mojo.
It wasn't there long. Yeah, definite mojo. I gotta find a different amp to demo with next time too. That Tone Master Princeton, that was a piece of junk.
Was it?
Sounded good, but you can't get it over bedroom volume. Literally, in one of the demos, I dimed the volume, and I'm sitting right next to it. You should not be able to dime the volume on an amp, and because after I got into like 5 or 6 on volume, it's just saturating at that point. And that was in the higher wattage mode too, because I remember he flipped the switch to higher wattage mode. I was like, all right, sure, whatever. Now the actual all real Princeton, ooh, I want one of those real bad. Much louder, much more headroom. Tone Master, meh, sounded good at at low volume, sounded great, but you couldn't turn it up. It just got more distorted. I was really shocked.
I've never played a Tube Deluxe Reverb, but my Tone Master gets plenty loud, I would say.
Yeah.
But it simulates like a 22 watts tube amp. So
I made the mistake of playing the latest all tube twin deluxe, whatever I think they call it, where one side's a Bassman, the other side's I don't know, whatever. The idea of the Hot Rod Deluxe was the original idea for these two circuits, but they didn't do it right. But this one, I was like, plug in the Bassman side, plug in the other side, the twin side. Sounded great. And then I looked, it was just under $2,000 Canadian. I went, I don't think so. And it's a hardwired power cable. It doesn't have the 3-prong female end to go into the back of the amp, which every amp I own, basically, except for the 70s one, is that way. But they still hardwired the power cable in for some weird reason. Just confused me. Of course, it doesn't take a lot to confuse me, but I was still confused. Oh, yeah, because I went to Steal It to do demos last time. I'm like, can I unplug? I don't want to follow cables in behind displays and stuff because it's up on a shelf. And I almost grabbed an EVH amp just for giggles. let's demo Gretchen's and Telly's through an EVH 5150 combo.
Oh, that would have been funny.
And then not even use the dirty side, just the clean side, and then still hit it with like the LPD Dutchman or something.
It's not that bad.
You played at Lass's, right?
Not
or
only
Guitar Store centers.
At Guitar Center, that's where I've played the Red Special through it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The clean sound is not bad. It's usable. Wayne McConnell joined us.
Hey, Wayne.
Thanks for joining.
We can thank
Thank
Charles
you,
for
Red
Wayne
Special
finding our
line.
channels. Thanks, Charles.
Oh, nice to return a favor.
Appreciate it.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, I quite agree with Wayne on that. Nothing wrong with a candy apple red Gretsch Dreamliner and a Bixby.
There's nothing wrong with candy apple red anything.
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 Isn't there a candy apple green as well?
Yes. It's weird. There's lots of colors, but they all called candy apple.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I delivered, because I used to deliver custom paint to a couple hot rodders in the area when I worked for Napa. It was like candy apple purple. I'm like, in what world is there a purple apple?
If you're colorblind, maybe, I don't know.
But they just call it because it's a transparent
Purple apple.
Yeah.
color. Basically, it's a
There's
it's a transparent color.
one.
So any transparent color is kind of known as candy apple. And
Yeah.
then, word of advice, folks: if you're ever mixing candy paint, always use gold metal flake. Never use. Friends don't let friends use silver flake. Charles, do you know why?
Candy apple purple.
Doesn't come out right.
Okay, if you put a touch too much gold flake in,
Uh-huh.
you end up with a bronze-looking guitar. Okay. You put a
Purple,
too much
purple,
silver
candy
flake
apple.
into candy apple red, you end up with a pink guitar. Because
Yeah,
I saw a guy who painted a 68 Pontiac GTO, supposed to be candy apple red. It came out hot pink.
The original Barbie car.
What's up, Symmetry? You
All the
crazy
candy
fella.
apples.
No, that's just
No.
wrong.
That's no.
That doesn't look
No.
edible. That's just wrong.
All of them.
All the colors. Yeah, that's no.
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 Candy apple pink.
That's not okay.
No.
You don't do that. For me, it's just red. I don't like the candy apple green.
Candy apple green, again, if it's done right, you can kind of get, it can look like that if done right.
Mhm. Yeah, that looks not too bad.
Yeah. That reminds me, I got to plug this in again and play with it. Did not give it enough time the other one time. I don't know when I plugged it in. Oh, it's on my list. I'm going to go back over to Long and Quaid tomorrow and shoot more demos, hopefully, Charles. My idea is 3 demos a week, and I don't know. They keep playing with all their toys over there. I might not shoot a demo in here for another 3 or 4 months.
It could be.
How's the audio? You guys can tell me if the audio is okay on those videos.
It sounded good to me.
Clipping
Yeah.
at some point.
Oh,
So
Really?
I think the mic was clipping.
okay. Well, turn it down a touch. I always think it's not loud enough because I don't check levels. I just hit record and don't even check level. 7 demos, whatever, So I'm guessing it's really going to clip in the one where I dimed the amp. Maybe that was in today's video. I dimed the amp.
I think with the Firebird it clipped. Today I don't know the
Hey, Trev.
chess master.
Cheers.
Hey,
Up,
Trev.
Trev?
Joining.
I know that. Ever notice, Charles, how Trev now looks like the new bass player for ZZ Top with the little trimmer hair?
I wasn't going to say it. I was
Well, because I don't know, our friend Riverdoc put out the updated
Yep.
video on Elwood, and I'm watching it. And I'm like, geez, we get Trev some Oakleys, and he just lets the hair
Lets the hair go?
straight
Yeah.
out. He could be Elwood. You could be Elwood.
I'm down for it.
Your mic is low, guitar loud, says Blackjack.
I only use one mic for both.
So then the amps.
So turn down the amp is what they're saying. Ben's half deaf. Turn down the amp.
What?
Yeah. With the Jazzmaster, it was not clipping much, but I've noticed it with the Firebird.
Ooh. No, you didn't,
And I
Tom.
was listening with headphones, so I have to add that.
That's nice.
So what did I miss? Been a couple hours, I guess. Eh? I was out working for a
2.5
living.
already.
Glad you're still
We're
going.
already digressing from the topic.
We covered the topic.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, Trev. They were going an hour and a half when I got home, and they're like, "Oh, they're still going. All right. Well, hopefully they'll still be going by the time I jump in."
Mm-hmm.
Well, the idea is always to talk about the topic for an hour or an hour and a half, and then the rest is just digressing, talking, hanging. So yeah.
Oh, I guess on the plus side of this morning's fiasco with the flood was I was cleaning up a bunch of wet towels in my old bedroom on the floor, and I found a full ounce of weed in the Ziploc bag, still perfectly fine. So, happy accidents, silver linings, and all that. Oh, look at that! There's a Ryan. There's another Ryan in the chat.
Another Ryan.
Another Ryan.
Hey, Ryan.
Okay. This ponytail is about to get reset because this is annoying.
Charles?
See, I'm not.
You see the
I'm not
comment?
Yeah, I see that. You got 100, so I'll see your 100 and.
Can you beat that?
But I can match it.
Okay.
I can match it.
Fair enough.
Do I even want to know? It's all the humidity today. That's all I know. 83.
In about a half hour, so.
Ooh.
89 Fahrenheit. Any quick
Carl?
guesses? What's that in Celsius?
71 degrees is my dew point right now, Charles.
32.
So yeah, all the humidity. Oh yeah, it's only 69% humidity in the air here.
Qualify as being muggy.
It's so muggy, Trev. We had a thunderstorm earlier today. 2 hours later, the parking lots are still soaking wet. It just won't evaporate. I'm like, come on, the sun's even out. No.
Jungle.
I was telling the guys, every time I got out of the van, because I got the air conditioning running, my glasses fog up for 5 minutes. Can't see nothing. Walking into shopping carts and people, and feels like Georgia weather.
Mm-hmm.
But my sister could not deal with it. She was not enjoying the heat and the humidity. And I explained to her, I'm like, this reminds me of heading out in North Carolina in May. Oh, thanks.
OU812 Ryan has 97.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty warm.
So the
Yeah.
temperatures you're having in Canada, is that regular or is that really extreme this year?
It's pretty regular for this side of the country. I mean, he's on the other side of the country, and I'm closer to Charles than I am to Ben.
It's a bit warm. We usually stay below 30 Celsius, so usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last few years,
Low 20s, mid 20s is comfortable. But yeah, then when we get to hell it is now. Let's switch over to Celsius. Yeah, 28 with all that humidity. Forget it, 28 feels like 31. Yeah. No, it feels like 38 out there. It's literally, it's like walking into the washroom right after somebody took a shower. That's what it feels like. Well, octopus ears, that's what the rest of the world uses.
The standard unit.
a way to
it's
measure,
where actually when water freezes, it's 0 degrees.
Yeah.
When water boils, 100.
Kelvin,
When everything's in pens. Everything's nice and tense.
Or 0 Kelvin is like minus 200 degrees something.
Minus
Celsius,
273 point something.
That's 0
Isn't that
Kelvin.
absolute zero, where everything's
Absolute
just
zero.
solid?
Yeah. It's basically absolute zero. 0 Kelvin's absolute zero.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. Chemistry class was a long time ago with many chemicals ago.
Good math in this good in math, good in the sciences. any other subject that depended on the teacher, and that included automotive shop, which I majored in for the last part of my high school years.
I took high school chemistry just to learn how to make nitroglycerin, and then they wouldn't let me make nitroglycerin.
Funny thing.
And they said, "What are you going to do with it?" I said, "Put it in our cars."
Right? Blow pistons through heads and stuff and push.
Well, if you mix it to 90%, 90% alcohol, 10% nitro, it'll be fine. Right. Just don't let off the gas too quick. Roll off the gas. Roll off.
Pow, pow, pow.
Yeah. And the teacher's like, no. I didn't realize it's used in explosives as well. I forgot about that. I just saw it as racing.
Is it not the sweat that comes off of a stick of TNT if it sits too long?
I think so. I don't know.
Dynamite sap.
Oh. Yeah. Better than maple.
Funny, I was thinking about maple today.
His yard when he was a kid.
You know what? I'm not surprised, Bo. I'm not surprised. Maybe that's around the time you joined the military, Charles, because I know
probably
that is an American tradition where you do something at home, possibly causes property damage. One might find themselves enrolled in one of the armed services within a week or two.
Yeah, our country has a fine tradition of go to jail or go to the army at one point in time.
I get it.
Didn't blow anything up, but I did manage to start the fiberglass covers on the patio on fire one time when I was a wee lad, grade 2, 7, 8. There was a charcoal barbecue going, and I liked fire. I've always liked fire and steel. Go figure. and the barbecue was going, but I was like, let's take the lighter fluid and put a little squirt on there and get some more flames. And I must have leaned into it way too much, and it just started the roof on fire. Uh-oh. Go get the stepdad, get the hose out. But things like that lead to a safety-conscious mind after the fact. You always should have a fire extinguisher within reach here.
All mine are in the garage, which is next to the kitchen.
I don't want to lose all my shit in a fire.
Ben? How nice are sex acoustics?
Very.
Very nice, but they're all left-handed, so you can't play them. Yeah.
Well, see, I got to hear Zach noodle on them a bit, and
I've heard that too, and it's really cool.
And one of them, he's got his name inlaid at like the 12th fret.
Very nice.
Oh, nice.
Very nice.
Can't beat that.
You have Eric Clapton's name inlaid. Change that.
Change that.
The Martin signature.
I think it seems to be Shawn Mendes did the same thing on his signature, Martin. I'm like, oh, I mentioned that. Who? Billy Joe Armstrong in today's demo. He has a signature on the back of his headstock. I'm like, there you go for identity theft. There's a signature.
Well,
that was awesome.
I have my name on the headstock.
True. And I have one of those guitars with your name on headstock.
Yeah.
I have one too. Video next week. Ben, actually, I played the Shawn Mendes next to the one I eventually ended up buying.
Right.
It was close. The Shawn Mendes is
very
great.
nice. It made me a believer because I'd never really played, like I was saying to Charles the other day, I hadn't really played the O's, because I'm a Dreadnought guy. I grew up with a Dreadnought in the house. It's that or nothing. But then I like those guitars, because it's not quite as small as a full-on parlor guitar, but it's in between, and they've got a sound, and I dig it. And I play those.
It's a Triple O Junior, and the one I ended up buying is a Dreadnought Junior.
Okay.
So it was just that difference that I preferred, because with the OM Larrivee, the Triple O Junior is just in the same direction, and the Dreadnought Junior is going into the Dreadnought direction with the characteristics of the sound, and that's why I ended up buying that one. But it was pretty close. Both great sounding guitars.
The great Laravees. What's wrong with the Larrivee?
Nothing.
Better if they're Canadian made, but I don't know how many they're making in Canada anymore. It sounds like they moved a lot of the manufacturing to California.
Mine is California made, yeah.
Yeah. Which is weird. Who moves manufacturing to California? Like the most rural-based for years, because everything's California code, California standards, for automotive or anything. Like you just why? I'm like, how much red tape was there in Canada, Trev, in Toronto, that they're like, you know what, California seems more easy to deal with.
Many kilometers of red tape. Huh? See what I did there?
All the kilometers.
Yeah. Oxnard, California.
Oxford or Oxnard?
Oxnard.
Oxnard.
Yeah, Oxnard. That's what I thought. Not the good part of Oxnard either, Charles. The other side of town where the onion fields are.
Well, you gotta, reduce your cost somehow.
Yeah, well, that's what you're like. It has an aromatic smell when you first take it out of the case. Yeah, it's onions. It's built next to an onion field.
This? No, doesn't smell like onions.
That would be funny.
Not anymore. It's acclimatized.
Yeah. No, it's not like a roasted neck where you find the sweet spot, literally.
That's
And you're
like
whoa, there's the whiff of maple.
Oh my!
I remember back in the 90s when they had Larvae was on the North Shore here in Vancouver, and they were making electric guitars and basses, and my buddy had the bass, and his guitar player had the guitars, and they were on point.
They still make electric guitars.
Yeah, but they all look like Tellys now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
What's wrong with
But
that?
the Strat with the Floyd wiggle stick on it was a pretty sweet guitar.
So speaking of Tellys, Trev,
Still a work in progress. Yeah. You can't rush the perfect scenario. It's got to come in.
but see, I think that attitude's part of the problem because you notice how the way he said they all look like Tellys now. There was an attitude in there.
I've looked. Yeah, those are very expensive Tellys, those Larvae too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll bet it's a very fine instrument.
The funny part is, I've played a lot of high-end Strats, Charles, like a Tom Anderson or a Sir or a Macmoul, and I get it and I feel it more in those. But then I'll play the same company's Tellys and I'm like, it's a Telly. I don't feel a real difference. It's just, it's a Telly.
Politisch falsch.
No.
You can't improve upon perfection.
No.
Nah.
Dennis Ellis says he loves my new Telly-shaped thing. Nice.
Neck adjustment.
Very good.
I just realized the Larvae has the neck adjustment right above the neck pickup.
Not in the smart area, but accessible, unlike the fucking Fender one where you gotta get a big ass Phillips screwdriver in there and pull the whole guitar in half just to get at it. No, put a wheel. That wheel adjustment, you're not playing past the fret anyway, so cut it out, put the wheel in.
Schecter Telly.
I'm not opposed to those. But it costs more than the Squire. I mean, it might come down to I just have to go buy the stupid Squire, but it's probably going to be $500 new after taxes and all the nonsense. So I'm waiting for this $300 version to come up across the marketplace.
Well, I don't know, Trev, because I was telling Charles I was at a pawn shop the other day, and there was an Affinity Series Telecaster in there for $450, and I said that's $150 more than new. Why? Mm-hmm. And it actually had a satin finish on the neck. That's a satin finish. The Affinity Series. Not this. If I can see a reflection, that's not satin.
No.
Right? It's the same over here. I can see a slight reflection on this guitar.
Yeah.
Over here.
See, that's like I know because I've hit my Mexican Fender with steel wool enough that when I see that shine again, that's time to hit it again with some more steel wool and dull it up again.
Well, see, that's the thing with this is it's supposed to be a matte kind of finish, but you can see the gloss where my skin makes contact. So it's got a relic to shine before it relics to wood, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that guitar is a little smaller. I don't know if it's thinner. It didn't feel exactly like an Explorer. I will say that.
Ben, in the true fashion of the pinup model, she has a skinnier waist.
Okay.
And I think that this one is a little bit longer.
Yeah, because there was something different. I was like, this
the Extura is not an exact copy of the
That's
Extura.
why they call it the Extura body shape and not Explorer body shape.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I didn't do the Les Paul or the Jerry Cantrell Les Paul with the same pickups or the Flying V yet, Trev. Yet.
Yeah.
We'll get to it.
Do the prophecy trifecta.
Yeah, well, I might as well, and it's going to be the same virtual argument with Trev in every damn one when I flip the pickups. I'm like, it's just a gain stage. It's just a gain stage. That's all it is. It's just a gain stage.
Just telling you what they call it.
Yeah. They're like, oh, it's a modern sound. Yeah, you add output to the pickups. It's a gain stage. Like your little Vipper there you love with. You're like, it's got the thing with the boost. I'm like, it's a gain stage.
That's a 20 dB boost, though. That's a big kick in the nuts.
Yeah, that's too much.
Define
you use that
much.
to test headroom on amps. If I hit the 20 decibel gain and the amp gets quieter, that tells me it has no headroom and it's collapsing the front end.
The Marshall loves it straight in, but the little valve state 20 that I have, that combo, if I did that to that thing, it just goes.
Yeah.
It cannot compute. But those square waves, what the hell are you feeding me? I don't know what to do.
All the waves. Dennis Ellis, 2 Squire Strats, 2 Squire Tellys for 1 Sun Valley Schecter, my first Floyd Rose. This is the Sun Valley. Yeah, that's the same one Quentin has. One of the Sun Valley shredder thing.
I don't have a single guitar with a Floyd Rose. And I don't really want one.
I have one just to have one, basically.
And?
Yeah.
Good. Do you use it a lot?
No.
Just
It's there when I need it, which is rare, but it is there. I got to adjust the trem stop because it's not fully engaged, so I don't currently use it because the first thing I got to do is tune it, and I don't want to tune it. Hate tuning Floyd Rose guitars with a passion.
Technically, I have a locking trem here.
Well, I do not have a guitar that's missing its head, and I do not have one of those. I call that the Marie Antoinette model. It's missing part of its body, too. It's the Black Knight is what it is. It's nothing but flesh wounds. It still plays fine. It doesn't need a head stock. It doesn't need a full body. That's a very modern guitar to me. I can't. It's too much.
So I popped into the Facebook marketplace to see if there was any tellies to try and
Sure.
My good friend
Charles.
But I've stumbled into this 2007 New Century Special Edition Gibson Explorer.
See, I don't like New Century Special. That sounds weird and gimmicky, and it's really
good. It's a mirror pick guard from like edge to edge.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the Paul Stanley shattered without it pre-shattered.
With a case. I was like, what the hell is that? But that's the reflection of the stucco.
Oh, yeah. Like, think about it, though. As soon as you palm mute that and lay your forearm across it, it's going to, it's going to be all.
$1,500 though. Could a fella undo that?
No.
Okay. All right.
That's throwback to the 80s, right? The cocaine edition. It's mirror top.
Right?
Sure, the EVH 78 comes with a can of 3-in-1 oil. That one comes with a free razor blade and a straw for some reason.
Right?
Oh, that's a little too on the money.
Well, I'm not speaking from experience, honest.
Okay. Here. How about this?
It's a thin line, but...
Right. Doesn't check all the boxes. I kind of prefer the darker neck. I'm not a fan of the maple.
Tweak. Some pump just went off. I like to hear that.
But hey, $460, probably got it for $400. Oh, Jesus! You guys isolated me.
Sure.
I didn't mind the pick guard, Tom. I think it's my age. I'm getting older, and I can handle the old man pick guards like that. I don't know what it is. I'm not as angry as I once was. No, I'm still pretty angry. Hence the rants early in the show.
Ranting.
Yeah. By the way, Trev, we're not storing the Explorer on the floor anymore.
Oh, good.
Tom says he can't do the old man pick-up.
Well, you're younger, Tom. Give it a few years. He's literally a few years younger than me. That's why I say give it a few years. I was that way until recently. Well, okay. Bo is not speaking from experience in the chat.
All right.
Hashtag gigging in the 80s. There you go.
Squire Sonic Telecaster, $250.
I don't know what a Sonic is. I don't know how I
Right?
feel
What's
about
the Sonic part? I mean, it looks.
Oh, wait.
legit.
Turn around. It's a top loader.
Yeah.
I want that bridge. There's my bridge, Charles.
Oh. Dun, dun, dun.
You
I got
want
a
one
drill
of those
press. I can
bridges?
make holes.
I've got one of those bridges.
6-saddle top loader is what I need, right? Or top loader, bottom loader combo.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Which is the
poke
American
around.
Pro 2, but it's not 6-saddle. It's 3 deuces. But then I get the B-bender installed on a Telecaster shaped object in here, which means we're doing all the bends all the time.
Love it.
Yeah. Then I got to learn a bunch of B-bending songs. You too can annoy your neighbors.
Well, I've
You
got
got
one
B-bender
of
too.
those. Just saying. You want a package?
I don't know. You're going to let a fellow know in advance?
I might have to, huh?
Yeah. So what did Bill think of the package? What package?
Right?
The package that arrived today? I'm not knowing what you're talking about, but I will humor you, my weird friend in Texas, and go and look at I'll be dip. Look what's sitting on the front porch.
That was without a doubt the most odd text conversation we've ever had.
Yeah, because you're thinking I'm pulling your leg. I'm thinking the same thing. I'm like, Charles, don't be a dick. You didn't send anything. Well, and at first you're being rather subtle. You're not coming out directly and saying, you're just like, oh, did a certain thing arrive? I'm like, why are you being so vague? I don't know what you're talking about. You're like, oh, fine. And then you also got all serious. No, seriously, I sent you something. It didn't get...
I love the part where you put in, I was outside all day. I would have seen it.
Yeah. Like, Mark and I wrote literally in the driveway playing cornhole for like 2 hours that day. Not once looked over. But then, and I realized the height of the railing, one of the side pieces, wow, you do type like you're from the South. Ryan, I love you. Bender on the telly. Not on it yet, but here.
Yay! Now, see, that's a telly I could definitely put into learn to love, even if I didn't love it right out of the gates. I love that telly.
It's
Lava.
gorgeous.
I mean, it's not just about its physical entailments. It's about the story, the journey, the whole. Yeah, makes it even more valuable.
Up here.
Rough around the edge.
Old school, Charles. Plain white box, one exploded diagram. No install instructions whatsoever.
Of course.
Yeah. Everything just in bubble wrap. There we go. D-bender and drop D without being invasive. From our friends at
goodness.
Hipshot.
Very nice.
So this will mount behind your bridge. Your bridge is here. Well, the bridge is go to about here. Hook onto the strings. Mounted using the strap button. You can put in optional if you want to. Don't need to.
Right.
And so you don't mess up the finish, they put in some nice padding under here. So there you go. It's
liner.
carpeted.
Yep.
Yeah. So then you have a bar that comes off here, and as you, there's your, and then this, you're like, well, what's that thing? Well, that drop D, E. And because you have that smooth action, you can do that. Boom. It sounds great. Trust me.
Right.
And then, so we got that in here and various. Oh, there's the bar.
Okay.
Can it? Yeah, come on. There you go. So. Huh.
Use your hand.
Hip shot.
Literally.
Pressed it against your body.
Yeah. Beats routing out half the back of your Telecaster for a B-bender.
So
Definitely.
which guitar is that going on?
I don't know yet.
You want me to buy
Probably
this
the
one here?
71.
Take it for a
I
road
think the
trip and send it
71.
out to you?
I think the 71. What's under there? Oh, that's mounting screws, right? Oh, you go in there. Yeah, I've only owned this for like 2 or 3 years at this point. I don't know when I got it. This was a purchase that I saw a demo and I liked the guy in the demo, so and then I ordered one. I said to my friend Rob over at Testy Switch, use coupon code Canucks, save 15%. Rob, you're a hip shot dealer. He says, I am. I'm like, you got one of those hip shot B benders? He says, no. I'm like, can you get me one? He says, if you get the part number, I got the deal. So I found a SKU for him, or a part number, I don't know. Gave to him. He got it in a week or two later and shipped it up to me, and been sitting in the box ever since. Because they got to get the right bridge. You need a top load bridge to be able to run the strings at the back. To
Still
hook on
looking
the
at
hook.
that one, Ben. I'm going to send this guy a message. Hey, man, when can I come see the guitar?
Yeah. The other option is to carve out the back of a standard telly bridge, and I don't want to do that. If at all possible.
I see what you're saying.
But, yeah, the American Pro 2 has the option for top load or string through. The option, if you have both, is nice is you can string through most of your strings, and then just the ones that have to use apparatus, you use the top load option for.
This has both.
Is that a J Mascus?
No.
What is that?
American
Wait.
Professional 2 Tele Deluxe.
Yeah, Pro 2. Yeah, it's got the... I like that. How did I miss out on you getting that? Jeez. Lifestyle choices, Charles. I know.
Well, you get to
I
relive it
want
all over
that.
again.
I'm lusting over that, like, hardcore. Oh, I could play a lot of rock and roll on it. Have it all slung down low, playing sloppy, barely in tune. Oh, yeah. Yep.
You didn't miss out. You just forgot.
But
Well.
it has jumbo frets.
Oh, well. You know, enough fret eraser and take care of that. Dennis L says, I remember almost hurting body parts trying to do B-bender licks before I knew what a B-bender was. Well, you can just bend behind the nut to do the B-bender thing as well. But it's hard to do to fret a chord, or you got to reach over and, you know, and then you got to know, which you can also do on Explorers, we found out. I can also do B-bending on Explorers behind the nut.
What about like one of them Volas with the reverse headstock thing?
I don't like them.
And you got the extra length on the
I
string.
don't like reverse head. See, you lost me at reverse headstock.
Well, but then you still got that extra length of string behind the nut.
Well,
is what I'm saying.
in theory, it's actually because, like a piano, the lower strings should be longer. It makes sense. Mm-hmm. But I've been tuning on the top of headstocks for 30 some odd years, so I'm not changing now.
Come on.
I've already had time with my Music Man, Trev, with a 4 and 2. That took me 2-3 years to get used to. And even then, I'm reaching around for tuning pegs that aren't there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't have anything with a reverse headstock. Nope.
And worse than a reverse headstock is just a headless, because... No, okay.
Yeah. It's like me with locking trims. Oh, right. And... yeah, I still have cranked tuning pegs behind locking nuts many a time. And you're like, oh, which string was that? What's that doing behind there? Charles, easy. We don't need to cut you off.
No, Charles.
Happy hour.
All right.
Yeah.
Get rowdy over there.
Going on a rampage.
We haven't talked about Gretchen for 12 minutes. Come on, guys.
But we were talking about tellies. I should
say it.
Well, in all fairness, Charles was the one that brought up the tellies.
It was. It was my topic.
Well, every time he sees me, he has to bring it up, and that's fine.
I guess.
No,
I
that
need
is
in my
not
life.
true. That is not true because I haven't said it in quite a
Every
while.
second time.
Just the last 2 times because you were getting ornery, right? And so
That's how he keeps in your place.
Well, we've got one tagged. We've got a message out. We'll see.
Oh.
And even worst comes to worst, so we can trade that to Ben for something. Because he wants
Charles,
that
maybe
bridge,
that's a
apparently.
topic for one of the guitar safaris. Why the telly is the ultimate guitar shape or something like that.
that's an idea. It's an idea.
What can't a telly
I
do?
would have
What
to
can't
jump
you do
in
with
and
a
say
phone?
it's the 335.
If we're including
Actually,
John 5 with
Let
his...
you in.
You can basically
Tremolo
cover it
style.
all without those 2 guitars. The 330, and I'm leaning more like because I used to be Telly Les Paul, but now I'm like Telly 335.
Yeah.
You know,
But
because there is
Telly's-
something because discovering the middle pickup position, I've dug that on dual humbucker guitars for quite some time, and the Les Paul does have a chiminess, but then when you do it on a semi-hollow, it's
Oh yeah.
more.
Yeah.
It's just a different, better, more chimey. And I was playing my semi-hollow last night. Picked
How
up
about
the
a
Amazon
Firebird?
guitar, Charles, for the first time in 3 months, perfectly in tune.
Really.
Oh,
Yep,
look at that.
shocked.
That's your upside down headstock again.
Yep.
But at least it doesn't have your banjo tuners, your nemesis.
Oh. Well, you know why they're not? Because they're like 1-to-1.
That is a pretty looking guitar. Look at that.
That is nice, even with the gut
Backside.
cut.
Oh, nice
All right,
case.
that case looks familiar.
Right?
Oh.
23, hon.
Well, yeah, that's
For a
oh,
Gibson, right?
sure, yeah, I forgot, Trev. You joined us late. You know the Epiphone Firebird that I demoed?
Yep.
She sold on Tuesday.
Wow.
While I was there, a guy started noodling. I'm like, that's a good one. And then he took the time to plug it in, and he ended up, yep, I gotta have this. Smart move, dude.
And
Excellent.
Bo agrees. Always have to have a 335 in the mix.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta find the right one. Oh, although they're expensive as hell. Those $1,500 Epiphones, the new ones, the Heritage ones.
Yeah.
That's a decent damn guitar. I played one of those back to back with a Gibson that comes in at what they're $5-6 Canadian for the Gibson version, and I actually preferred the Epiphone because the paint wasn't as sticky. Like I was thinking, I'm gonna have to sand the neck on the Gibson to make it feel right, and I wouldn't want to do that with that price point. And they were both, just a cherry. Well, I think the Gibson had block inlays too, which I do prefer. I think ideally I want a tobacco burst with block inlays because that's a rare bird to find.
Yeah.
Yep.
Something about the tobacco burst though. Bukovacs, I want his. Can I have his? No.
He's not doing anything with it.
1, he won't sell it, and 2, I can't afford it even if he did. Because I think he has like an actual 63 or something.
Well, maybe you could just do a setup for him.
I do remember the day I went into Carter's Vintage, Martin, you'd be happy because right at waist level, there had to be, 25 335s in a row. All the flavors. And it was like from 60s up into 80s, and various grades. And I remember playing a few that, you look and it was like, let's say 15,000 US. But then you play it and it's like, it's a 68 and it's in pretty good shape. And you're like, and you think, so, wow, like this is a lot of guitar. Like it's a lot of money, but this is also a lot of guitar. And you're thinking to yourself, can I justify this in life? Because
Now imagine myself at real guitars with the 1966 335 for $7,000.
oh, ow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ow, that hurts. Yeah, that hurts a lot. Because $7,000, you're lucky to get a 90s one for $7,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oofda. There must have been something wrong with it. Like
They're they're
non-original,
really-
like to have different pickups, wire. You think like it must have been. Why is it so cheap? Headstock repair? Who cares? But did it have
Yeah.
one?
Did you notice anything? Headstock or?
No, didn't notice anything. The bridge, it was not the original bridge, I think.
Okay, I was going to say, did it possibly have a Bigsby at one time and now doesn't? Stuff like that, which definitely affects value on the collectible market. But it's like, I'm always happy if it's like, oh yeah, it's 7,000 because it doesn't have the original bridge. Somebody swapped out the pickups.
Yeah.
Fine, I'll just put a nice set of
Cubers were
PAF
not
style
original.
pickups in it. Yeah, exactly, Tom. That's what I'm wondering.
Pickups were the original
Which is
ones.
fine. I have no problem buying, as long as the repair looks nice and doesn't feel like an abomination. Who cares?
You didn't see anything on it,
Yeah.
and the pickups were original. So yeah. Yeah, and well, the thing was, it was one of those fretless wonders. So yeah,
So I would pay a premium for that.
you would pay a premium. Others would like to have a refret on it, but it played perfectly, just like
like
the
that.
fretless 68 Wonder of JJ.
Right on.
How nice is that guitar, Martin?
Nice.
Right?
Both played it.
Yeah.
That one is amazing.
Yeah. Oh, I played it a lot, Lucas. I played that guitar a lot. Because that kind of turned into my number one whenever I hang out at JJ's. He's like, I know, because it's got fretlessness that I love so much. And of course, when I was over at his place, I think I played all of his guitars, and that was the last one he brought out, to the point where I forgot he even owned that guitar. And I'm like, oh, there it is!
And the 335 at Real Guitars was just about the same with the frets, and played
Nice. Okay.
Very
I know
much
exactly how that felt. It's funny how
So,
we
yeah.
can do this in the YouTube community, Trev. If you're fortunate enough to do some traveling, and you get to hang out with and try out these guitars, and then we do a hang like this, and we say, for reference, you remember JJ's Les Paul?
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
It's a common reference.
Point of reference.
yeah.
Very cool.
It's like
Yeah.
what RJ's Novo that never shows up. The color never shows up right on camera. It's way more teal in person. And he's like, Ben knows, he's played it. I'm like, I have, because as soon as he was presented with it, he noodled with it for 5-10 minutes, and then the party started up again. I walked right up. Can I play it?
Yeah.
It's like, I just got it. I'm like, I don't care. Can I play it? Sure. Sweet. And I don't know if I've played a Novo since. So I played Rhett Scholl's and I played RJ's. I'm like, I'm good.
Oh.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah. But that guitar would have easily fetched twice the price if I would sell it over here.
That was the thing. If you had the money to be able to invest and ship it home, properly, you could pay for your trip basically
Yeah.
by flipping it. But you got to have the money to make the money.
And he wouldn't have flipped it.
No. Yeah, well, that's the other problem. Yeah, I know.
And you'd be out.
Exactly.
Step 1, step 2.
Believe me, I had the very same thought idea with the 57 Telecaster down at Carter's Vintage, priced at 25, 27,000. And I'm like, it's a 57 Telly, and it's only that much. And I had my dad's credit card with me, which was more a line of credit. And my mother made the mistake of letting me know there was 40,000 available on it before I went on.
Wow.
So I'm like, I have the room. I don't think I can come home, but I have the room. And so good. V-neck. Oh, so resonant, light, beat up about as much as my current ones are. Oh, it's amazing guitar. I think I have a short video on my channel of me playing it just acoustically.
Yeah. That's very possible, Ryan. Yeah.
Too bad you can't mortgage a guitar like you can property, right? Because then it's like, you get it, but you can mortgage it for what it's worth, and then you have a lot more to invest. No. Or you can be like Bo, Sweetwater payments, same thing. It's just a mortgage payment. we lost Charles. Charles's wife is like, "Are you starting dinner at some point?"
Somebody was paging him. Dr.
Right.
Dr. Charles, to the white courtesy telephone, please.
Yes,
Oh,
the
man,
anniversary. Yes, that is a nice. The 150th anniversary suffer is nice. I'm waiting to see if they get one in at the local Long McQuaid here. Apparently, it's a clearinghouse for Gretches, though. My God, they bring in a lot of Gretches, and they go through there.
It's not a bad thing.
No, because the 12-string Gretsch didn't last. I never did get around to demoing it. That'll be another guitar they get to tune in advance.
Right.
I still can't get over the quilt on that one Gretsch.
You wait till I hold it up on camera.
Does it look that good in person?
Dude, the back looks as good as the front. You know, it's like that the natural carving that Bo has. That's all that beautiful quilt. When he flips it over, you're like, holy crap! The back's just, you know, because it's the same thing without being interrupted by pickups and pick guards and stuff. You know, it's just, there it is.
Beautiful chunk of wood.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful quilt.
Well, let's see. I went to play the P90 Jet, but the hang tag just had a part number. That's all it had, or the SKU. It had no information on it, so I had to look it up on the website, and then remember. Yeah, and then go in. And there was one with the Bigsby and one without, and I did the one without. Mako is the color, by the way, Charles. Mako.
Mako.
Yeah, not Mako Shark, just Mako.
Okay, so M-A-C-C-O versus M-A-K-O.
No, M-A-K-O. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. So.
Well, see, that one wasn't available here locally. I would have had to special order it.
And those P90s sounded great. Especially through the Dutchman. Which is then when I brought out the Dutchman for the employees drive. Travis was playing that guitar, the P90 Gretsch, through the Lost Dutchman into the Twin Deluxe. He's like, "Oh, this thing's amazing." I'm like, "It is. Where do I get one?" "You can't." "You're a jerk." "I know." Just rest my pedals sound like garbage. Like, yeah, you're picking up a Greer Lightspeed at the end of your shift. Believe me. Same idea. Great low gain pedal. But it turns out Travis is leaving Long McQuaid, apparently. He's got a new job.
No.
I'm slowly grooming the other employees to be smart, but the fella can only do so much when he doesn't work there.
Right. Can't train everybody.
Yeah. Although the young guy, Gavin, who's 22, he's impressionable. I like that. And he's got good tone. He wants to bring, he's like, "Hey, man." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Do you like Vox amps?" "Yes."
Sometimes.
It's like, okay, he's got some special edition AC-15 that has some extra thing. I don't know. But he's like, "I'll bring it in for you to check it out." Oh, he replaced the speaker or something. I don't know. But he's really proud of it.
Celestian Blue.
Maybe. I don't know. And he's like, "Oh, I'll bring it in for you to check out." I was like, "Sure, dude." I just remember he was the one that when I brought in my dad's 67 Telly to check out, he's just like, he played it for about 5 minutes. He's like, "Great." I was like, "What's up?" He goes, "Now I got to go home tonight and tell my mom what a piece of shit my Telecaster is." Sorry? That's the funny part is that guitar really hasn't even had a setup in years. People are just, "Oh, this is the best Telly I've ever played." I'm like, right? Why don't they make fretless guitars anymore? Everything's jumbo frets. Forget that. Oh, that reminds me. I got to reach out to Derek from Rev.
Relax Jumbo.
Point.
I'm not sure.
I should do that. By the way, I got Charles Green coming on my show this Sunday. Just thought I'd throw it out there because there was a lull in the conversation. I swapped Charles's. Well, what happened was I also got Aaron from Elvis Band coming on, who can't make it this Sunday, but can make it the next Sunday, which then led to a text to Charles. Yeah. So
it's quite the revolving schedule.
Yeah. After that, I don't know. Although I may. Oh, I also got a book. Michael Torin has reached out to show off his extensive amp collection. He just picked up, speaking of AC-30s, Martin, a 1963 AC-30, the Holy Grail. Yeah. And he said, after he played through it, it is everything. I was like, really? They're that? And he's, yep. Okay. I believe.
Narrow tallest. Okay. So it's not jumbo frets on Lukas guitar.
On the deluxe, it's narrow.
Even
tall.
better, narrow tall. You can just grind those right down into proper frets. Just a quick fret level away, Charles is like, oh great, he's got the radius bar out and the guitar's on the workbench. I know where this is going. Lord help him if he gets a crowning file. Zach says I should check out the Oshawa along McQuaid. They have a good stock of guitars. I should get up there at some point just for something different. Oh, this is already packed. Yeah, lifestyle choices, Trev.
All right.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It's weird. I've talked to a couple of district managers for Long McQuaid the last couple times I've been, because they just keep seeing this random guy pulling guitars off the shelf and going around the corner into a lesson room and then making a bunch of racket for 5 to 7 minutes, and then and he's like, "You good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. How about yourself?" Which was not the answer he was looking for. And he's like, "So what's your deal?" I'm like, "Yeah, I come in here, I just use your gear, make guerrilla demos, and move product for you." And as soon as I said "move product for you," because he's manager, he's like, carry on.
Yeah. Put money in my pockets. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. And the way I see it, not necessarily getting paid by the company to promote their gear, but they're also allowing me access to grab any amp in the store I want to use, like literally anything I want to use in the store, I'm allowed to. Mm-hmm. So I don't even need to take over a pedal for gain or anything, except honestly, they got a crappy selection of gain pedals. Like, I think I might use a Marshall next demo. That's right.
Yay!
Which was the bad thing, because I grabbed the Wazacraft Blues driver, and that's when I found out I didn't like blues drivers, especially into a Marshall.
Yeah.
Friends don't let friends do that. Because I turned on the blues driver, I was like, wow, that sounds bad. So I flipped it to the Waza setting, and that made it worse. Ooh.
Even more bad.
It doesn't sound too bad through a Fender amp, but through a Marshall, no.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
But fortunately, my LPD Dutchman had a battery clip inside, so I've been using that on battery power.
Fantastic.
Mm-mm. But yeah, I'm gonna have to grab a different amp. That little Toemaster Princeton was not cutting the job. I had a similar experience to my Explorer, Trev, when I plugged in the Kramer, because it's got a high output humbucker. And I'm like, here's my clean tone. Wow! Oh, that's not clean at all. Reach over, turn down the amp.
Oh,
Yeah. Same as, I'm not a fan of the reverb. Like, I like the sound of the reverb, but all the reverb knob does is blend. Like, it's all the reverb, just blended into the back if you have it on like 1. And as you blend, it just brings it more forward. You can't adjust the length of reverb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't like that. Although, I do like a lot of reverb. So I kind of like it. Trev's just smiling and listening for his name. I know.
Oh, I hear you with the reverb. I was actually just thinking of how my reverb is on the... I mean, it's in the title, right? High gain dual reverb. There's 2 separate reverbs on each channel that you can adjust accordingly. And I tend to leave it down there.
Gear Hunter is Long McQuaid's used selection. Guitar Man 45. That's like Guitar Center used. Yeah, the Gear Hunter... Oof. Especially since they finally took all the store individual websites and put them all together for one searchable database. That's where it gets expensive. That's where it gets expensive. But fortunately, employees are still overall lazy at Long McQuaid, so only a fraction of the stuff actually gets listed on the website. So that's why you actually got to go into a store, access the database to find an Explorer in Summerside PEI that's just been sitting there for 4 years because they don't have a box. So they didn't list it on the Gear Hunter page.
We'll just put it in
And
a
we
great big
enjoy
bag.
the hiring selection of Long and McQuaid for that reason, able to take advantage of them. I was just thinking, Trev, can I take a bunch of pedals into the local one? If they don't buy them, I'll just take them to the next closest Long and McQuaid and see if they'll buy them.
That might tie into that trip to Oshawa. Just saying.
Yeah, because the Cobra one I know has.
Just keep going until they take
gear. You do, Bo, especially if you set your home store like Charles did to the Belleville location. Then, whatever's on there, you say, hey, can a fella demo this? Yep. Say, I take requests because I go in, I'm like, I don't know, what should I demo? And they're like, have you played the new Slash? No, I have not, nor will I. I don't care.
Right.
Although, coming up, the Epiphone Jerry Cantrell Wino.
That's a cool guitar.
That is a cool guitar. I quite enjoyed that. Very light. Very light.
Okay.
I was shocked. It says it's got the 9-hole weight relief, and I'm thinking, I think this guitar was light before it had the weight relief.
Cool.
Fun
Big
fact, my
holes.
humidity's gone down 6% in here since I've been in here.
There you
Nice.
go.
The dehumidifier is working. You got her down to 56.
It's doing the thing.
It is.
Doing the thing. Yeah.
Ugh. Talk about that.
So yeah, guys, I think we'll wrap it up because I have to work
Well,
tomorrow.
Marshall Murray showed up, so yeah, I get it.
He's been here before, so.
Doug Murray.
12:30 there.
I didn't
Yeah.
know. Not in the up phone didn't have a piezo thing. This one just had. There was no. I was gonna say I always check whenever I grab a Les Paul to see if they're push pull, and well, that one has a very loose tone knob, just right off of my hand. Like, ooh.
Whoops.
Yeah, I'm like easy. Okay, just make sure it's wide open, and there we go. Well, thank you, Lucas and Martin, for having me.
Yes, thank you, gents.
Thanks
Pleasure.
for joining us.
Thanks a lot
Pleasure
for
as
joining,
always.
guys. And,
Always a pleasure and an honor to have you guys on.
Yeah.
and
What's
thanks,
the
of course.
helicopter out for? I haven't done anything.
Search and rescue.
I hope it's search and rescue. Otherwise, it's the police, and I like search and rescue. I don't like cops and helicopters. Oh, wow, that's a dual whirlybird. Trav, what is that, Labradors? They got the propellers on both ends? Like Korean War. Charles is like, when have we used a helicopter with dual props? That's the 60s. That's the Canadian military, Charles. We just keep them together with duct tape and a prayer. That's it.
That's all you really
Exactly.
need.
All right, well, that was distracting.
All right. And yeah, with that, thanks everyone, also in the chat.
Also
And
in the chat, obviously.
have
Thanks
a
a
good
lot.
one. See you soon.
Bye.
See you
Bye-bye.
soon, my friends.
Cheers.